The first preliminary results based on exit polls are expected to be released around 7 p.m.
Euronews. The news. Euronews, the European elections news channel.
Welcome to Brussels, my love.
I do?
No.
Euronews' talk show all about the European capital of Brussels.
We should not take that conclusion.
That's correct.
Well, absolutely.
Absolutely not, of course. Give me a break. You misunderstand how the Hungarian parliament works.
Come on. You can adopt any kind of law to tick the boxes.
And I'm not disagreeing with that.
We need to speak the truth.
Words.
The prices won't rocket again. Ask your energy provider.
That's a question for European member states.
This is going to be then a Brussels bubble joke.
We'll see you soon here on Euronews and Euronews.com.
It draws from our lives, experiences, and creative inspirations. The immortality of ideas resonating through people across centuries. The arts, lifestyle, design, food and drink. This is culture. Euronews Culture. Spark your senses, wake your wonder. Get inspired on euronews.com/culture. It draws from our lives, experiences, and creative inspirations. This is culture. Euronews Culture. Spark your senses, wake your wonder.
European elections from 6 to 9 June 2024. Let's vote.
In there, Steve.
Euronews. The news.
A shout of relief after the exit polls. The Green Left Labour list in the Netherlands is projected to send 8 MEPs to Brussels. Geert Wilders' Party for Freedom and Democracy is expected to win 7 seats.
Pro-European parties in the Netherlands did very well in this election, which sends a clear signal to the rest of Europe. There is no necessity to work with the radical right. The assumption that the radical right would sweep this election is not materialized in the Netherlands.
Though they campaign together, these two parties belong to different European families. Labour is part of the Socialists and Democrats, and the Green Left is part of the Greens. Geert Wilders did not celebrate. During the party's single campaign event, Wilders was mobbed by supporters and the press.
The next coming days are crucial to the future of Europe. Will it be with more open borders and immigration, or will it be a lot tougher and with more, as I said, not an expansion of the European Union, but returning to the capitals of the legislative powers, and this is something that we are aiming for.
The Radical Right Party had always advocated for an exit, but changed course this year. Wilders now says he wants to change the European Union from within and hopes to join the Identity and Democracy group. Despite the campaign having little visibility in both the streets and the media, turnout was 47%, the highest since 1989. Voters were mostly concerned about migration, healthcare and the economy. The Netherlands will send 31 MEPs to Brussels. The final result will only be known on Sunday evening.
French President Emmanuel Macron has said France will provide Ukraine with its Mirage combat aircraft to help the country's defense against Russia's military offensive. He spoke after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky joined world leaders in France to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the D-Day invasion.
Demain, nous allons lancer une nouvelle coopération et annoncer la cession de Mirage 2000-5, qui sont des avions de combat français, qui permettront à l'Ukraine de protéger son sol, son espace aérien. Et donc, dès demain, nous allons lancer un programme de formation des pilotes et puis de cession de ces avions qui permettra d'ici à la fin de l'année.
Macron also said France will start training Ukrainian pilots as he reiterated that Ukraine should be allowed to use Western-provided weapons to strike Russian military targets. The Netherlands and Denmark promised last year to give F-16 warplanes to Ukraine, and the United States is training Ukrainian pilots at a base in Arizona. The promise of French aircraft will likely be welcomed in Kyiv. Ukraine is currently fighting to hold back a renewed Russian push in eastern areas, including the border regions of Kharkiv and Donetsk. Russian troops are seeking to exploit Kyiv's shortages of ammunition and soldiers along the front line. Zelensky is due to meet French officials in Paris on Friday.
Far-right parties need to be ready to overcome their divisions if they want to make an impact in the next EU Parliament. Germany's AfD is searching for a new political family after its expulsion from Identity and Democracy, and it might decide to form its own one.
The number of far-right parties are on a path of radicalization, which means that I don't think all of them will be put together after the elections. We'd rather see not one, but three instead of two political groups. That's also the reason why Marine Le Pen recently made clear that she wanted to have a clear distance vis-à-vis the AfD.
If projections are confirmed and AfD gets 15 seats in the European Parliament, it would then need 23 additional MEPs from at least 7 member states to form its own parliamentary group. Talks among parties have already started. According to the Euronews Poll Center, Bulgaria's Revival is one of the parties that reached out to AfD about a potential alliance. There's also movement concerning other right-wing MEP candidates from Poland, Lithuania, Bulgaria, Hungary and Slovakia. The common ground among them seems to be a softer approach towards Russia, as Ukraine is set to remain a top issue in the new legislature.
Chancellor Olaf Scholz has vowed Germany will start deporting criminals from Afghanistan and Syria again
after a knife attack by an Afghan immigrant left 4 wounded and 1 dead in Mannheim last week. The 25-year-old attacker had come to Germany in 2014 as an asylum seeker. Addressing Germany's parliament, Scholz promised that deportation rules for all who commit or support criminal or terrorist acts would be tightened.
Deshalb werden wir unsere Ausweisungsregelung so verschärfen, dass auch aus der Billigung terroristischer Straftaten ein schwerwiegendes Ausweisungsinteresse folgt. Wer Terrorismus verherrlicht, wendet sich gegen alle unsere Werte und gehört auch abgeschoben.
Germany does not currently deport convicted asylum seekers to Afghanistan or Syria, but the Chancellor said his government was working on a solution to enable deportation to Afghanistan's neighbouring countries. Migration has been one of the major topics that far-right and mainstream parties have been exploiting in order to gain votes in the European elections. Scholz and his Social Democrats, as well as other mainstream parties, have been trying to depict themselves as tough on migration and radical Islam in hopes that voters won't turn to the far-right Alternative for Germany to tackle these issues.
British paratroopers had their passports checked by French customs officers as soon as they landed on Normandy soil for D-Day celebrations. The troops said they had never experienced such checks before. Around 300 units from the UK, Belgium and the US parachuted into a D-Day drop zone to recreate the airborne operation that took place 80 years ago. The Allied invasion, which began on the 6th of June 1944, opened a new hole in Hitler's defenses, accelerating the final defeat of Nazi Germany.
SpaceX has completed its first full test flight of the Starship
Heyo.
rocket. It was the 4th launch of the world's biggest and most powerful rocket.
I was playing with my microphone yesterday. I don't know if it's good. I hope it's good. I hope the volume levels are good. It is. It should be. It should be. Maybe a bit too loud, but all right. It's 10 times the video. Shit. You know what was the problem?
Muslims in Bosnia are
Is it
departing
better?
for Saudi Arabia
It's still
to
in
take
the yellows
part in
for
one
me.
of the biggest religious gatherings on earth. More than 2,200
I had to be on a
Bosnians
Zoom
will
call
join the
yesterday.
1.5 million worshippers
Okay.
from around the
Oh,
world,
my camera
making
is
their
also
way
fucked.
to Mecca.
I had
for
to
the
be on a
annual
Zoom call
Hajj
yesterday to do my
pilgrimage, which starts
classes.
next Friday.
And
It's one of the 5
I was
pillars of Islam,
scared
religious
that
practices which
my
include fasting
Zoom
during Ramadan
audio
and 5 prayers
was
each day.
like turned
Every
on,
Muslim
and I
is
didn't
obliged
want
to
it
attend
to be
Hajj
turned
once in
on.
their
I wanted
lifetime
it to
if
be
they're
turned off.
physically and financially
So
able to do so.
I'll put my microphone on silent, like here, and he has the little wheel.
Voters
He
in
doesn't have
Croatia
on
head
and
to the
off.
polls
He has
on
the little
Sunday
wheelie
will
thing,
choose from
and then he
300
chooses how loud he
candidates for
is,
their
and I made
12
it at
seats
being
in the
0
European
loud.
Parliament.
And now I
But
don't
even
know
with
what it was
modest
before.
wishes, some voters are unsure the EU Parliament can meet
I
their
was
demands.
terrified yesterday, but it went so good. It went so good, by the way. We were supposed to be learning the basics of digital design. Camera is a bit high and it annoys me. We were learning the basics of digital design, and we had to paint some shit in Photoshop, and I was doing great. I was doing alright. The man teaching us was like, wow, you're doing great with the colors and shit, and I was like, thank you. Thank you. By the way, Croatia. Croatia.
But it's not just a knowledge of the workings of the European Union that drives voters to the polls.
True. Also, they are really quiet in the interviews. It's the way that they edited this.
Ili izlaze ovi koji razumiju ulogu Europskog parlamenta pa onda žele da
Yeah, basically the idea is like either people understand what they're voting for or they don't understand what they're voting
In 2019, Croatia came
for.
bottom
Did
of
you
the
paint?
turnout
Oh,
table with
wait,
just
let me see.
29% of the electorate voting. And numbers are
Image?
expected to be low this Sunday too.
Image? Now I gotta go find it. I did save it, but it's a sketch, don't mock me.
The
I
centre-right
did save it,
Croatian
but I don't
Democratic
know where.
Union formed a government with the right-wing Homeland
It
Movement
was
Party
nothing
in May.
special though. It was like it's
Croatia,
a
like
little
many
forest.
countries in Europe, has
It's a
tilted
little
to
forest,
the right, but
and
analysts say right-wing parties
at the
won't
time I
enter the
started,
EU
I was like, you know what I'm
Parliament.
gonna do? I'm gonna do the simplest thing that comes to mind. I'm gonna paint a little forest because why not? Forests are easy to paint, right? And at half of the stupid conversation, look at my forest. He goes, oh yeah, don't put the sun in the photo, in your image. And I was like, why not the sun in? And he's like, no, you put the sun in, it's too hard to like do the colors around it. And I was like, well, fuck, here's my sun already in the image. And he was rather happy with it anyways. He was rather happy with it. It's on like 20 million layers though. So what I need to do is I need to learn how to put the foreground and background in different layers. Because what I was doing instead is like, have you ever painted with acrylics? I did the acrylics painting thing, which is like you do the first layer approximately, and then you do the other layer with a bit more details, and then you do another layer with a bit more details. And you just keep on adding layers, and each layer is like the whole picture, but a bit more detailed than the layer beneath it. Right? Because what we were taught in school when we were doing painting is that your painting has to look done at every single point. Like it always has to look finished. You can't do the thing where like you start in one corner with the details and everything else is like a rough sketch and the details are there in one tiny corner, right? You couldn't do that when you go to I don't know, we called it like paint and design, I guess. There was like a graphic design, which was shit like that, and there was painting, which was what I was doing. So the idea was it always must look done. When it's in the sketch phase must look done. So like you could present it as an artwork. You could say, hey, this is the sketch of a scene I had in mind, and the sketch is done. Right? You can clearly see where everything is supposed to be. The sketch is finished. And then like you add a layer on top of it, which is the first paint layer, and that's also supposed to look done. So like you can display it with the first layer and people are gonna look at it and go, wow, I see exactly what the artist was trying to do with the colors and shit. I see what's the point. So I was doing that, and yeah, that wasn't what he was looking for. It was, but he says it's really hard to continue. Because like you're just gonna add more layers and then more layers and then more layers, and then he was like, maybe try to do foreground background, and I was like, I'm gonna cry. But first class done. I'm alright. Also, fun fact, first class, we join in. People have to show their previous artwork. I don't know if it's a surprise, but the amount of anime people, I didn't expect it. I genuinely didn't expect it. I was like, nice, damn, what, wow, really? Fucking really? The first one was anime, and then he kept on going, and he just kept on being anime. So many anime people. So many anime people. Like, alright though, fair. They were doing rather well. I didn't expect to see them. I didn't see them in a very, very long time. What happens is when they get into the misfortune of entering any sort of, I want to say education, in art, they usually get bullied out of it, which is rather sad actually. But like every single anime fan I knew, anime drawing art fan I knew in my high school, has given up on that style in time because the style is rather.
The next coming days are
You know what it is. Alright, it's very stylized in some areas. There's certain rules that anime drawings follow that you don't really see followed by proper drawings. Like he was specifically making comments yesterday on like the size of people's heads and the proportions and everything, and even the poses. Because there's like specific poses that come from specific anime, and it's so interesting to see them being recognized as like, oh, I know which anime you took this pose from. And usually when I was in high school, they all got pushed out of it, so it was kind of endearing. It was almost nostalgia to see them. I was like, damn, I forgot about you people. And those like 8-pack muscles and everything. You know what I do? With like huge muscles and like tiny heads with huge hair and everything. Oh, I love them. My friend who didn't know about waifu pillows. Oh, shit. I have a friend who I'm pretty sure has a waifu pillow, but it will be hard to ask.
Has said France will provide Ukraine
One
with
day,
its Mirage
I'm gonna
combat
send a
aircraft
spy
to help the country's defense
just to
against
like check it.
Russia's military
I'm pretty fucking sure.
He spoke after
They do
Ukrainian
know about
President
waifu
Volodymyr
pillows. They
Zelensky
know
joined
everything.
world
So
leaders in France to commemorate
look,
the
I've got
80th
the misfortune
anniversary
of
the D-Day
being
invasion.
surrounded by fucking
Demain,
weirdos.
nous
You know what my friends don't know though?
Et annoncer la cession de Mirage 2000,
That moon landing
qui sont des
happened.
avions de combat français qui
I've learned
permettent
that recently.
permettront à
Did I
l'Ukraine
bitch about it on stream? I don't know if I
protéger
bitched about it on
son
stream.
espace
Got
aérien.
some
Et donc,
friends
dès
who
demain,
don't
nous
believe
allons
in the
lancer
moon landing. I
un
was like,
programme de
nice.
formation des pilotes et puis de
Nice.
cession de ces avions qui permettra d'ici à
That's
la
where
fin de
we
l'année.
are.
Alors,
That's what
Macron
we're
also
doing
said
right now,
France
I
will
guess.
start training Ukrainian pilots as
They're
he
just-
reiterated
they're
that
just who I'm
Ukraine
making
should
friends
be
with.
allowed to use Western-provided weapons to strike
Oh man,
Russian
this was a great
military
video. Oh, I
targets.
saved this with
The
translations.
Netherlands and Denmark promised last year to give F-16 warplanes
Also,
to
we're getting
Ukraine,
some
and the
French
United
planes. We're
States
getting
is
some French
training
planes. Also, I
Ukrainian
saved the
pilots at a
video
base
on
in
the voting.
Arizona.
I just have to show you my videos. Why are we watching this? I saved a video on the Dutch European Union elections, which is very important because apparently the scary rise of the far right didn't really happen.
According to the exit polls, the far-right PVV hasn't taken the election by storm. In fact, they were pushed down to second place, with
Didn't
GroenLinks
really
PVV,
happen.
a left-wing
So, yeah.
Green alliance, securing the most seats with 8. The PVV party secured 7 seats, followed by the center-right VVD party with 4 seats, and the CDA and D66 with 3 seats each. The rest of the seats go to the following
D66 is my
parties.
party, by the way.
Bear in mind, these are only the exit polls, which are usually quite accurate, but the official results will be announced on Sunday evening after all countries have voted.
True.
So things could still change. So how does this compare to 5 years ago? Well, the PVV remains the biggest winner, gaining 6 seats, as they weren't able to secure more than 1 5 years ago. The biggest loser is another far-right party called Forum for Democracy, who lost all 4 seats. As for the rest, the changes are quite minimal, with a maximum shift of 1 or 2 seats. Let's look at the situation at the European level.
What did
First,
they
we'll
do?
exclude the parties that didn't secure any projected seats. This leaves us with 10 Dutch parties. For those unfamiliar with the European political structure, there are 7 main political groups in the European Parliament. Dutch parties are affiliated with these groups, collaborating with counterparts from all other nations across the EU. Here's the breakdown for the Netherlands. A quick note, VVD's membership in Renew Europe isn't certain. Due to their cooperation with Wilders in the national parliament, they are threatened to be kicked out. Similarly, BBB and the NSC still need confirmation of the EPP group. But let's assume their affiliation stays. Then the totals would look like this.
Nah,
meaning that
Netherlands
Renew
is doing
Europe and
alright.
the IND group are the winners of the first election. So what do
Bro, this is like the What's that thing where like the worst and the best one win? 7 votes for Renew, fucking great. 7 votes for ID, horrible. Horrible. And then this is EPP, yeah. The Greens 5, S&D 4, ECR in the left. I'm happy ECR in the left. I don't even know too much what the fuck is the left doing. But man, 7 for it.
do we learn? Firstly, there's no right-wing surge. Let's look at the 2019 election results per
Yeah.
European group.
Oh,
Yes,
oh,
the far-right
shit.
IND gained 6 seats, but the right-wing ECR lost
Are there
4
some
seats,
exit polls?
meaning they
Croatia
only
is
netted a
voting this
gain of
Sunday.
2 seats together. Considering
I'm
the
trying
number
to
of
get
seats in the
people into
Netherlands
Možemo
increased by
or
2,
into
it's really not a massive gain. Wilders may have won the national elections by an absolute landslide,
Is
but
the
it
pe-
looks like he might lose this one to pro-EU factions. Let's see
Basically
which
away from
trend
DP.
holds
I'm
throughout
trying to get
Europe in
people
the
away
coming
from DP
days.
because I don't
Secondly,
want them
voter
to
turnout
give
increased
votes
by
to it.
5%. Yes, 46.8% is still way too low. But maybe this is a sign that EU election participation is on
Wait,
the
that's
rise.
actually alright.
Obviously, we're going to take full credit, all thanks to this EU-related channel. Thirdly, it is really all to play for. 31 seats have been filled out of 720, meaning there are 689 to go. Remember, these are just exit polls, and things might still change on Sunday
Yeah, these are
evening.
just exit polls. They
Next
can't
up,
say for certain
Estonia,
because the
Czechia,
voting is still
and
ongoing.
Ireland. So if you live in these countries, make sure you get out there to vote. And if you like this content, please like the video and subscribe. And if you still need to vote, check out why it is important here. And if you need help, check
I'm
out our
scared
ultimate
of the
guide
Irish.
here. Also, a special shout
I am a little tiny bit terrified of how the Irish are going to vote. They've been trying to rehabilitate both Mick Wallace and Claire Daly for the past few days. The bots have been doing the pro-peace bullshit, but stronger. But so much stronger. It's that, and then it's the idea that the media has been attacking them all of this time. So these people supposedly didn't even vote in support of Russia. They just were attacked by the media, and the media lied about them. And it's so strong, and it's everywhere. I'm kind of scared how that's going to go. I don't know how much it's seen in like real life in Ireland, obviously. But online, the bots for Claire Daly and Mick Wallace are very numerous. Very fucking numerous. So, Astro, how's life going? How is everything? Are you voting? Are you voting for the European Union elections? I wanted to see if there's some like other guesses. Nah, I don't wanna know. I don't want to see guesses. I want to see official results on Sunday. I want to get the access to official results before the voting is done. I'm like Putin. I just want to see the facts. I want to see the facts, and that's that. Just like show me. Just show me how it's going. AFD. All right. So this was the EU elections. Say this one on European Union overall, European migration specifically. Talking about Ireland, I saved another thing. Is this my bookmarks? It is. I saved another thing because I was having conversations with Croats recently about about the way that Croats are commenting on the situation in Ukraine and how interesting it is that we don't really know our national history. And someone sent me to this post, and it's about how the global south countries are not automatically getting labeled inherent genetic Nazis for having Nazi collaborationists. But Lithuanians and Ukrainians are immediately seen as Nazi collaborationists the second they dare to criticize USSR. Whereas you had, for example, Ireland also opposing the British, but they're not being called Nazis in today's age when they try to fight for their independence, right? And apparently they got a memorial to one of them. They got a memorial statue to one of them. It's just there. It's basically their version of what Bandera is. A man who was willing to work with Nazis to see his country liberated. And yeah, he's just there. He's just fucking around. I googled the man actually. Sean something. I have it saved here in my search results. Googled the man. Just the classic tale of a dude working with Nazis to try and get liberation for his country, genuinely. So it's very weird to me that they fall for all the Claire Daly bullshit when it comes to that. Because, come on, like, you should understand, out of old people, you should understand, really. Oh, what is this? How and why would Putin leave? Headshot! Oh, I haven't looked at Headshot in a while. How's Headshot? I stopped watching what's his name? 1420. You know when I stopped watching 1420? When Navalny got killed, technically. When Navalny got killed. And there was this one interview that popped into my YouTube feed from some random ass American living and interviewing people in Russia. And he went to people on the street and he was like, what do you think about Navalny? And so many of them were like, oh, glad he's gone. Oh, now the whole drama about him in the news is done, you know. We won't be hearing about him anymore. Great, we were so bored of it. Shit like that. People knowing like, oh, what was he expecting, basically? You know what happens when you stand up to the Russian government. What was he expecting, really? And I saw that video and I was like, damn, these opinions are horrid. And then I opened 1420 and it's a completely different energy. And I was like, nah, all right. At this point, I don't even want to be watching that shit. Voting against Trump, good luck. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that? Are you feeling good? Are you feeling he's going to lose? Because I'm kind of worried about that too. I saw something on Twitter this morning. It was something like leftists against Biden. Something like that, like a whole new profile made. I was just telling people not to vote for Biden. And it was getting quite good reach too. I don't remember the name exactly. I know some people were like, are these Democrats? And then other people were like, I guess not. So no one really knew who they were. I'm guessing Russians, personally. I'm guessing Russians. But there seems to be a lot of move against Biden currently in the USA online space. I don't know how much it is offline. Hey, yo, chaps, how's life going? But I'm very worried about that. Also, I don't think it matters when Putin leaves.
Поехать в то, что мечта – это мечта. Понимаете, это что-то большое, высокое и очень так вот хорошее.
Как думаете, вот при каких обстоятельствах Путин уйдет со своего поста?
Ни при каких, только своей смертью.
После Владимира Путина будет нормальный президент. Живой, здоровый, умный, разумный и светлый человек. А не то, что сейчас. Вот то, что будет после Владимира Путина. Причем это не важно, какая это будет персона. Это может быть совершенно любой человек. Он 100% будет лучше.
You know what this is? This is Westerners when USSR broke apart, being like, hey, there's this one new dude trying to lead Russia. He's going to be normal. He says he likes democracy. He's going to be normal. He's going to be a good leader of Russia. Yeah, Russia's going to be a normal country. This is great. This is copium. He's snorting copium. He's high on copium. 50-50 very close election. Shit. You think Biden will win the popular vote by millions of votes? Oh, okay. But it's going to be very close. Because I'm kind of scared of that. I'm kind of scared of that. How the original Nazis were a ruling class who committed atrocities, and the people called Nazis today are mostly low-income families who want to feel safe and secure. Ruling class who committed atrocities. You did have a lot of people. I don't know exactly who you are referring to when you talk about the people called Nazis today. But you did have a lot of people joining the Nazis who were just like normal citizens who also fell for the propaganda of, hey, if you join our fight and if you join us in making living space for the Aryan nation, you will be able to get safety and security. A lot of people at the time also fell for the idea. So, had no choice out of fear. They still were Nazis. They still were Nazis. It doesn't matter what propaganda they fell for. They were Nazis. Now we can talk about different contexts of Nazis in different countries, because you did have Nazis in some countries trying to fight for the liberation of their peoples. Surely you did have that, and when it comes to people in countries like that, I do understand that fighting one oppression, fighting one oppressor by siding with another is a completely different type of a context than like what Germans were doing, for example. Definitely a different thing, but you had overlaps then too, and you do have overlaps right now. Like when you look at the situation in Russia, for example, Nazis are absolutely leading the government, and Nazis are people who are complicit with the government at the same time, right? So I don't necessarily think it's just low-income families who want to feel safe and secure, unless the term is misused. There's the Nazis in the country, so we can say Nazi collaborationists if you want to be using the exact terms, surely. But when I refer to someone like Ustashev, for example, you know what I mean? They didn't agree with it, but they had to pretend. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think people are very easy to fall for propaganda. And I think we're seeing that today too. How many people are cheering for genocides today? How many people are cheering for genocides and falling for propaganda? Come on. It's really easy to get them to cheer for this bullshit. How many far-right people do you have right now who in their heads want to ensure that their family stays safe and secure, but they're actually cheering for a genocide or directly helping a genocide be committed? They're still evil. It's still Nazism. Do you think many Nazis throughout years either they were wrong and regretted being a Nazi? I think some did. Ultimately, I don't think it matters, personally. I don't think it matters because I don't think feeling guilty about something really, absolves someone of a crime, and especially when it comes to, let's say Germany, for example. Germany has been forced to pay for shit that they did in World War II. I think they deserved it, and I think even if a lot of their people felt guilty for what they did in World War II, I think they still deserved it, right? There's still this sort of you gotta pay for your crimes mentality that I am rather supportive of when it comes to these things. So yeah, I don't really think it matters on a personal level if they felt bad or if they made excuses for it or whatever. I don't really think it matters. I think those who were proven to be participating in specific crimes should have been locked up, and countries overall needed to pay reparations and to be working on educating their citizens better, and that's that. People wanting to be left alone, and the genocide propaganda is coming from infiltration and open borders? Wait, whose country are you? Which country position are you talking about? Who are people that want to be left alone but are called Nazis? Who are we talking? Which group? Russians and Trump by default. To be fair, the idea of Russians being stupid is the do I want to say chronically online idea? I do want to say that. I think it's a good distinction. It's a chronically online idea. Surely, are we looking at the brightest nation in the world? No, we're not. But I'll never forget that one conversation that Thompson had with Anastasia, in which he kept on trying to prove to her that Russians are just stupid, right? That Russians are stupid, doing their stupid meat waves, and it's really easy to wipe them out. And Anastasia kept being like, dude, no, like they're actually fucking dangerous, alright? When you call them stupid, when you make these little stupid jokes, you are minimizing the danger. You're minimizing the problems. Like they're learning how to fight against our drones, they're learning how to properly fire into our cities so they can kill as many people as possible. They do have planning, they're able to, do a military operation to some success, and they're able to learn from their mistakes. By calling them stupid and by constantly imagining that they are like inherently dumb, you're minimizing the danger that they pose. So yeah, while I'm alright with an amount of discrimination, I just wanted to make that really clear. Anyone who doesn't accept open borders today is called a Nazi. I disagree with that. I strongly disagree with that. I don't think anyone who doesn't accept open borders today is called a Nazi. I think people called Nazis today, when it comes to the border conversation, specifically commenting from the position of European Union, I think they are specifically people who say shit like that the great population replacement is underway, because they are trying to eradicate us, and they is usually being like Jews. So Jews are intentionally trying to be sending as many refugees to European lands as possible to replace our white, purely crystal white population with people of a different skin tone, all right? That's who usually you get called a Nazi. When it comes to people trying to figure out actual proper border policies, you don't see them being called Nazis because they're not actually idiotic in their reasoning. So when it comes to people who are having conversations about, for example, how many arrival centers should we be having? Should they be had specifically in the countries of European Union? Should we have them in third countries so people can apply there and then be sent off to European Union? Should each and every member state of European Union get allocated a number of refugees that they must take in? Or should they be able to opt out of this and then maybe help pay for countries that are opting to take more refugees in, stuff like that? People engaged in these proper conversations are not called Nazis. People called Nazis are those who stay out of the productive conversation and instead just join it to say, yeah, you know what, these dark-skinned people, they want to replace our Christian population and we need to kick them all out. So yeah. No, it is not a proven fact that when countries are populated with people from outside, crime is rising astronomically. That is bullshit. It is not a proven fact at all. Where were we on this? War of attrition? There's no war of attrition. The West is not in war economy. There's no war of attrition when it comes to the Western perception on this. Right? The West is not partaking in this war. They're helping with little crumbs and shit like that, but they're not in war economy. The West is not doing nearly the best it could be doing in this situation. Anastasia is right. Anastasia is right, and that's also why I think that the opinion that Russians are really stupid is a chronically online one, because in that Tops and Anastasia conversation, you can see a person that's like doing Twitch live streams versus a person actually there on the front line, helping the soldiers on the front line, right? So I think, the distinction really opens your eyes, the distinction as to how people close to the front and people not close to the front perceive the situation to be. And yeah, of course, you should always trust people who are actually engaged in frontline activities. You're called a Nazi if you drive a gasoline car, eat meat, have issues with immigration, and a billion other reasons. The word Nazi has been used with such inflation it has lost all meaning. I do think that for some people we might be looking at a Twitterification of the term. Let's say it like that. You know how they had a thing? Who was on Twitter? When they said that Stardew Valley was a game that Nazis like to play because it didn't allow specific, it was something LGBT representation that was asked to be put in game, and the game just ignored the request completely. And then people were like, oh yeah, cozy game for Nazis. It's like that. I understand when you mean something like that. But also, like, I hope that you're able to distinguish between an actual person calling someone a Nazi because they want to replace kick out all foreigners from the country. Like, remember AFD wanting to literally kick out every single foreigner from Germany? Remember shit like that? We got people right now in Croatia who are pushing for the idea. Also, ironically, all far-right people, all of them cheering for the Ustaše regime of the past. People who say that if you want to allow refugees to come into European Union, you want women to be raped in the street. Shit like that. People like that being called Nazis is a very different thing than someone on Twitter saying you're a Nazi because you rape or something. All right? Like, I hope we're able to make a distinction, because I'm not really taking the Twitter terms seriously when it comes to real life terms, when it comes to real life racism, when it comes to real life spreading lies about immigrants and refugees, specifically to create wider discrimination against them and then to kick them out of our countries. Yeah, that's like a wholly different thing. Hey, Jovalla, good morning. Estonians coming to Finland absolutely skyrocketed the crime. It's bullshit. It's bullshit, because the idea is that, like, oh, foreigners are going to create crime, and they all imagine foreigners as these horrible people who are just able to fucking do terrorism and nothing else. It's a ridiculous thing. There's no way has ever been proven that just having more foreigners in the country increases the crime rate. This alternative paints a grimmer picture. Do you think it would get better if an official war was kicked off? I definitely think the West would be way more effective in supplying Ukraine if an official war was kicked off. Yes. I wouldn't be against it. Yeah. So, I don't think there's already so many shortages, by the way. We're doing all right. We're doing fine. The West is doing fine. Europe is doing fine. USA is doing fine. We're doing absolutely fine. It's not like we're suffering or some shit. We're doing all right. No one is allowed to migrate under the guise of a refugee. You got people coming into arrival centers in European Union. In the arrival center, what you have to do is submit your paperwork or whatever you have to be identified as to whether or not you can get the asylum. Right? You do have people whose asylums are rejected who still stay in the countries, because we don't have a system to kick out people whose asylum applications are rejected. In some of them, to be fair, some countries do have it. So you could be arguing for that. But like the ideas that there's criminals or whatever migrating and pretending to be refugees is ridiculous. I'm pretty sure you don't even know what are the requirements to get an asylum in our countries. It's not easy, my dude. It is not easy to get the asylum at all. Oh, what's that? Conviction rates in Texas. Native-born, undocumented immigrants, legal immigrants. Man. Oh, man. Holy shit. Not surprised at all, though. I was looking into these statistics that time when we had discussions about Sweden crime rate. Man, I think it was Netherlands who had an investigation into specific like ages of the population. So they split it into age of the population and then the origin of the population. And yeah, it turns out that in cases where you do have immigrants committing most crimes, the crime that they were committing was being in the country. That was that. It wasn't like killing someone or, raping someone or stealing shit or whatever. It was them being in the country legally. That was that. That was the most commonly committed crime of them. But apart from that one, they all had lower crime rates than actual native-borns. So yeah. increased poverty, homelessness, and mortality. What you would need to prove is that any of these are linked to our aid to Ukraine, and that any of these would get worse if we get on a war economy. Which first off, I don't believe any of these are getting increased to any sort of a dramatic rate. Plus, no, I don't believe a war economy would affect them. If you come from Central Africa to Europe, crossing X amount of countries, you cannot claim asylum. Trying to immigrate into the social welfare system, but you can claim asylum. You can claim asylum because the demand is not that you apply specifically in the first safe country. Strong correlation between crime and poverty, true. Crime and poverty, living conditions. It's why Sweden has higher crime rates specifically in their vulnerable areas, which were areas that used to be populated by biker gangs, then got Yugoslav refugees thrown in them, then got Middle Eastern refugees thrown in them. So now you have entire areas with lower level of education, lower level of employment. The police doesn't even fucking go there. They allowed these areas to form what they call alternative societies. So they just formed their own living, and that's that. The police did nothing about it. They are aware of this. They have been aware of this for a very long time. They didn't do shit. No, I am saying that the West is fine, yeah. Multiple times a day now we hear about genocide. Wait, but genocide is not happening in the West. The fuck are you saying? Like, you read the news and the news make you sad and you're like, oh, the West is crumbling because the news are making me sad? Because there's genocide happening globally? What the fuck are you saying? Also, which country is having a homeless epidemic? Like, are you speaking from the position of a specific race? Who's having the homeless epidemic? So, riots? The fuck? How are you connecting any of this to the question of the Russian invasion of Ukraine and the aid provided to them? What the hell are you doing? Like, you're making no sense. When I see the ultra-rich start taking in refugees into their mansions, bullshit. No one is asking people to take the refugees into their private homes. That's just the fuck are you now saying? What is this? Friday, like day for low IQ takes in chat? Great. Anyone else have something? Anyone else have something absolutely retarded to share? Because I would fucking love it. The fuck is this? 100 or so Middle Eastern refugees, Syria mostly. A couple of them did some fucked up crimes, and a lot of Estonians were like, no more, please. You see, the thing is, I'm absolutely alright with refugees and immigrants into the country who do a fucked up crime to be deported immediately. I think a big problem is that we don't keep a good enough system, so we don't track them properly. I think it was specifically with... oh shit, which country did I look into? Austria. Was it Austria? Last time Austria had a refugee do an attack. I think it was Austria. Because the specific situation was basically he did a crime already previously, but his asylum application was rejected and the system didn't know where he was. So they have a fuck up in the system where there's a bunch of people in the country that they don't know about because they don't have enough arrival centers to be keeping all of these people in. So they just like scatter them around the country and then forget about them. So what happened is a dude did the crime. They knew he did the crime, but they couldn't find him because they had no fucking idea where he was. And then he did another crime in another part of Austria, right? Which like... we just need a better fucking system, and we can have a better system. This is why you have conversations about different border controls or different ways to set up the asylum centers, how many more of them we need and how many people they need to be able to hold, so we have, you know, a proper track of where all of these people are. It's going to make them safer, and it's also going to ease our own populations. But that's what you should be doing, instead of just going, oh yeah, we don't need these people in the country at all. Croatia has 0 tax for wines. Based Slovenia better than Croatia when it comes to the amount of fanboys, possibly. Struggle to integrate 30% Ruski Mir into our country. No need for any more trouble with different people. To be completely honest, I don't think a lot of refugees would really be going that direction. So I don't really think you guys would be in any sort of danger of being overwhelmed anytime soon. But yeah, I understand the issues with integration. Those I don't really think that the issue of integration is different, really. I don't think it's a different one. I don't think there's a, specific different way to deal with refugees coming from other countries and then Russians being in your area, You introduce them to language classes, you introduce them to the culture, you have some integration classes or whatever that they can go to. We have a thing here, but we mostly started organizing it when Ukrainian refugees started coming in. So now it is being done for other foreigners, especially foreign workers, but it started because of Ukrainians. So, thanks for that. But we had a thing where we would be organizing, for example, Croatian cultural groups would be organizing events that immigrants and refugees were invited to. So they're groups. You know how usually you have a group in specific bigger cities, which collects refugees from the group so they can be kind of interconnected and communicating with each other and making this transition easier. We had Croatian cultural centers doing events at which these groups were invited so they could all be mingling together and learning about each other's cultures and everything and getting used to what Croatia is like, what are our laws. You had people who were willing to answer questions specifically regarding the law situation, but also like how to buy a house, for example, if you're an immigrant who's working in Croatia and you want to have a place of your own, how you buy a house, how can you get your family in, how can you get language classes for cheap or free, because in many situations they were offered for free if you had gotten the timing properly, some shit like that. So I don't really think, to be fair, I don't really think it would be that much different than trying to get Russians integrated, really. It's okay for the ultra-rich to yeah, see, because what you're doing is, again, the stupidity of the ultra-rich versus the rest of us. Politicians who are arguing for specific policies regarding immigration, they're not ultra-rich. My dude, it's not like fucking Elon Musk is out there preaching about immigration, alright? Most of us have normal politicians on a local level trying to figure out the situation. What you're doing is you're creating this distinction where you imagine every single government worker to be some ultra-rich enemy in a golden palace, and then the rest of us are just little tiny people, in our little tiny homes, and we're being hoarded by refugees. And you're creating this distinction because you really, really want to have something to be bitching about. Your way of viewing the world is not proper at all. It is not only the ultra-rich who understand the importance of, following the international law and helping refugees who are running away from stuff like wars or famine. It's not only the ultra-rich who are understanding this, and it's also not the poor ones who are being idiotic, spreading lies about this idea that more foreigners you have in the country, more your crime rate will raise, because what the hell? The distinction doesn't exist. US has shootings multiple times a day. China is overtaking Western companies in all sectors. Dealing is becoming more and more normalized. Yeah, but you see, what you're doing is you're saying US has shootings. It had them before. This has nothing to do with the Russian invasion on Ukraine. This is what's his name? The World of Warcraft player. Who was like, oh yeah, well, we have homeless people in USA. I don't think we should be helping Ukraine with weapons because we have homeless people in USA. You had them before, bitch. You had shootings before. Are we now supposed to forget the shootings USA had before? Shootings in USA have nothing to do with Ukraine. These are two completely different things. This is completely fucking different. China overtaking Western companies in all sectors. Like, what are we doing? What argument are you even trying to fucking create? You're being like, oh yeah, the West is crumbling, and my way to prove that the West is crumbling, despite the fact that we're still keeping stable, for fuck's sake, is that USA has shootings the same way it had them for decades in the past. What is that one? Stealing is becoming more and more normalized. The fuck are you talking about? Are you at Twitter? You're using, you know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. You're going to Twitter, and then on Twitter you see American teenagers saying, shoplifting is good actually, and then you're like, oh yeah, damn, the crumbling of the society here in the West. The crumbling of the society in the West. Wow, really, we should be so much worried about this. I should be telling everyone about this. Holy shit. Horrible, horrible. Just Libera, stay right in English, please. But yeah, overall, we're doing fine. Tifon, welcome to the stream. How are you doing? How are you? Royal family, the Clintons, the Obamas, the Hollywood celebrities? You're mixing up several different groups of people that have nothing to do with each other, plus that have completely different ways that they would have proposed the policies to be made. You're making no sense. You're severely uneducated in the situation. You're making no sense. The royal fucking family, and then you go for the Hollywood celebrities? Which one of them? Which fucking one of them in the first place? Which Hollywood celebrity is saying that people should be taking in refugees in their private homes? The hell are you talking about? This is what populism does to you. Populism makes you idiotic. I swear to God, populism makes you idiotic. You spend a week on populism, and your brain turns into this mush of they against us, so now I will battle the king himself and then also Selena Gomez because they are my personal enemies because they want to introduce refugees into my country. Just, what the hell are you doing? Your stance makes no sense. No, I'm not saying you're trying to be rude. I'm saying you're trying to be stupid and it's working out. It's not about you being rude. It's about you genuinely making no sense with shit you're saying. It is populism. It is populism. No one is saying you should be taking in refugees in your private homes. It is populism. No one is saying this shit. You're fighting against bullshit that doesn't even exist. You're not talking about actual policies proposed. You're imagining a little cartoon scenario in your head where the rich people want to put refugees in your home and you're saying, no, rich people, you take refugees first and then I will allow them in my home. That's what you're doing. Your political stances are not based on the reality of the situation. They're based on this little cartoon that you have created. Homeless rate in the US has decreased. It's lower than Germany per ratio. What? That's what? Really? Damn, that would be very surprising to me. But all right, good. Its homeless population can't impact that much, even if it was 3 times higher. Don't know what to do with my home if I'm surveilled by 600 million CCTVs and cannot speak freely. Oh. I think we're still rather chill in that area too. Hey, I saw this. Shoplifting bad, it gives you 3 stars in GTA 5, 4. Hey, to be fair. Know what was my favorite thing to do in San Andreas? Getting one of those bombs. It's like the driller thing in Deep Rock Galactic. Those bombs that you like place on a bridge, and then you run away, and then you detonate them. It's like the driller thing. That was my favorite thing. I would always get 5 stars. I would be impressed. Wait, I clicked on this already, but I would be impressed. Man, look at Croatia. Where's Croatia? 1,000? Oh, but it's the number. Vatican City has 0 homeless people. Wow, really? Wait, but I want the percentage. I want the percentage. Both are showing ankles. Congratulations, congratulations. Oh, all right. List of sovereign states by homeless population. Homeless per 10,000. Man, can you imagine scrolling through this entire list and then going, oh yeah, the West is crumbling. Oh, look at United Kingdom. Look at United Kingdom. Do we count Canada? Do we count Canada? Did I miss someone? Oh, I missed Albania. Missed Albania. Missed Albania. Wait, Germany? Yeah. United States is below Germany. United States is below Germany. Nice. I think it will never be in the same, using the same definition, Phantom. I think it will never be using the same definition. Because I remember, damn, look at Croatia. You know what I remember? We had a fight in chat at one point about crime rates in different countries. And I actually went to look at crime rates in different countries. Did you know it's impossible to compare them? I mean, I guess you did, but like, it's impossible to compare them. You can't be comparing at all because the system is so different. Like, for example, the specific thing I remember is Sweden, and the way that crime in Sweden is counted differently than the crime, I believe it was Denmark that they were comparing themselves to. Because in Sweden, if there is a marital rape case, let's say a woman marries a man and he keeps on raping her for more days, she goes to the police, she reports it, every single instance is going to be counted as one crime. Whereas in Denmark, every single instance is going to get grouped into one case of crime going for more days. You can't compare them. There's no comparisons to be made at all. It's nearly impossible. And then you add in some like stupid shit crimes that countries have made up, like Croatia, for example. Croatia has a specific thing where we have a different thing that is rape in the criminal system. We have a thing that's called sex without consent. It's the same thing. It just depends on whether or not the person who did it is a clergy member or a former defender of the state of Croatia in the war, or whether they have like kids at home or something like that. Because so many times they were supposed to get a rape charge, and then at the trial, the dude's like, oh yeah, I actually have kids at home. Like, I'm not really sure that putting me in prison for rape is going to be smart. I got kids, you know? And the judge is like, oh yeah, true, actually. Yeah, it wasn't rape. It was just sex without consent. You're free to go. So he just goes. It's a ridiculous thing to, you know, be following, but it's impossible to compare because of this reason. Like, you genuinely can't know. My dude, the fact that I'm aware that your outlook on politics is a caricature doesn't mean that bad thing never happened to me. It just means I'm aware that you're dumb. US is 331 million people with 653,000 homeless, means 1 in 506. Germany is 81 million and 607,000 homeless. Yeah, very, very, man. The numbers are so close when it comes to the number of homeless people, but then the population number is completely different. Holy shit. Wait, I wanted... Oh! France detained the Russian terrorists who planned to blow up a cargo with military aid to Ukraine. Yeah. I wonder if they're being scared now, but I don't think they are. A 26-year-old man who was born in Donbass held a pro-Russian position, fought for the Russian army for 2 years. Materials for making explosive devices, small arms, several passports and cell phones were found. The suspect was detained immediately after he accidentally detonated acetone peroxide in a hotel room while attempting to build an improvised explosive device. Great. Did you know statistically that the smartest serial killers are those using bombs? Did you know that? Because you know that now. The smartest serial killers are those using bombs, because bombs are really, really fucking hard to make. So, yeah. Fun fact. European nations by GDP per capita. Look at that, our non-European Union members. Oh no. Oh no. We're doing some... Mama, the West's crumbling indeed. The West is crumbling. We are done. We are... I don't know how we will ever manage to reach the superior GDP of fucking Russia. Never. A lot of disinformation about the United States and I would say European bias, and this is fed by Russian and Chinese propaganda as well. I do agree with that. I do agree with that. Man, I don't even know how much of it I'm blaming specifically on the Russians and the Chinese. I think Europeans just love to feel morally superior to USA a lot, and it creates this sort of disinformation, you know. I just think we love to be eating shit. US will soon announce a new aid package for Ukraine. Hawk, HIMARS, Stinger manpads, Javelin 84s, howitzers, armored vehicles, trailers and patrol boats. Nice! Nice, alright. Alright. The world is it isn't. The world is doing fine. The world is doing fine. We've been through like 2 world wars. My dude, the current situation is alright. It's livable. On a global scale. On a specific country scale, it is dire. And then you have some specific countries just not doing shit, you know? So it really depends on where you are. But globally, we're not crumbling. You're saying homeless rate is decreasing? It's like New York officials saying crime rate is decreasing. The problem in the first place is that those homeless people have no impact. No. You specifically said that we got the... how was the comment? How was the comment? Homeless epidemic. You specifically said we had homeless my bro, if you're not going to trust data, like, I don't need your takes in chat. I don't need your takes that you're going to be pulling out of your ass. You either have stuff to support your claims or you don't. You can't be given data that goes against your claim and then go, oh yeah, all data is propaganda. That's a bullshit take. You're immediately just putting yourself in a situation where you are always correct, because anything that people show you to prove to you that you are wrong is by you seen as propaganda, and that's that. That's making no sense. You gotta have some way to prove your claims. Man. He's still bitching about it. No one wants to remember how this tragedy began. What a piece of shit. What a piece of shit. Yeah, the West is crumbling is what Putin bros usually claim. Yeah, it is. Because like we're doing alright. You remember when they were talking that we are like freezing throughout the winter and we were just doing alright? Remember that?
Revolution in Ukraine was provoked by him when the president.
Are you genuinely doing fine, my dudes?
fled due to lack of
we should be doing more to help. Certain countries, specifically, we should be doing a lot more to help Ukraine, definitely. And the situation in Ukraine is dire. I do not want to be normalizing that. But the idea that the West is crumbling, that's just bullshit.
Eventually forced out of office as a result, eventually fleeing in the middle of the night to Russia in early 2014. Manafort was assisted by a political operative named Konstantin Kalimnik, who U.S. investigators say is a Russian intelligence official and was integral to Manafort's dealings in Ukraine and Russia.
Talking about pedophilia. Two things ongoing currently in pro-Russian circles. One of them, have you guys seen the twice convicted pedophile Scott Ritter having an absolute meltdown recently? Because he had an absolute meltdown. He tried to explain, fuck, let me find the interview. I have several clips of it saved. He was trying to explain that he technically did no crime because he thought he was talking to a young girl, but it turned out to be a policeman. So because he was speaking to a policeman, not to a young girl, actually, he's not a pedophile, he goes. But then he did this bullshit where he's like, oh yeah, I went to prison gangs like Crips and the Bloods and the Latin Kings, and he says he got to avoid being killed by them, because he showed them the case paperwork and they were like, oh yeah, really, you were not speaking to a young girl, you were speaking to a policeman. So genuinely, like, you're not a pedophile. This man at one point, fuck, I saved this too, but I have a lot of bookmarks saved. At one point, the evidence they brought in his case is that he did this previously and he tried to say that this doesn't count. Like, you can't point to me previously being a pedophile. Here it is. You can't point to me previously being a pedophile to prove that I am a pedophile. You have to ignore me being a pedophile previously and focus on me being a pedophile now, potentially. A ridiculous, stupid little man. Ridiculous. But a worse thing is going on, and I'll actually have to find, I didn't save it in my bookmarks, because it's not a fresh piece of news. It's not a fresh piece of news, but relatively, and it's very important for you to know, just so you understand what sort of scum we are having to deal with, right? Two Western propagandists on the side of Russia, two different Western propagandists, one of them from USA, one of them from the UK. I'm gonna find the link in a few seconds. Flirting with police is even worse, one could argue. Two different Russian propagandists found it. Graham Phillips from the UK and John Mark Dugan from the US are currently having drama because they sex trafficked a 16-year-old girl to Luhansk and then she killed herself. You might remember this was a rather big story for like a week last year, and then everyone forgot about it. About the little 16-year-old who was supposed to be one of their assistants. She killed herself, and they're fighting over which one of them assaulted her to commit suicide. That's what they're fighting about, which one it was. And they're trying to accuse each other of being worse, because, you know, the one that was worse is the one that actually drove their sex-trafficked 16-year-old girl to commit suicide. It's a sickening situation. They have gotten, the pro-Russian side has gotten all the sex pests imaginable, and they're just there. They're just fucking there, and they're safe, and they're chilling around. Ridiculous. I've never said sex trafficking happens only in the West. The fuck are you saying, Glizzy? Are you stupid too? Come on. I don't need any more idiotic takes in chat. I have never said that. Respond to things that has actually been said. Where were we on this? No, the West is doing alright. The West is absolutely doing alright. So yeah, I'm still not falling for the bullshit of the West crumbling. I'm not a pedophile because the girl I was trying to groom was just an officer pretending to be someone. Yeah, basically that's the idea. Yeah. I'm not a pedophile because I wasn't speaking to a girl actually. Two different fucking times. Can you imagine that? Like you get caught once. A normal person would be too embarrassed, too ashamed to continue living any sort of a public life. This man does it again. He does it again, gets convicted again, and then goes around crying about it. Just incredibly stupid. One of the ethnicity that most leaves its own country for the US is actually Chinese. What, really? They leave the Chinese paradise for the US, hell? They must be so stupid, I guess. It's like how people who talk about the West crumbling never go to Russia, now that you mention. Yeah, true. It's always, oh, the West is crumbling, the West is dealing with so many horrible shit. Yeah, the West is doing horribly. Are you going to Russia? No. I am not going to Russia. I am staying in this crumbling, rotten West. It's like Russian propagandists talking about the rotten West and then sending kids there to get their education, isn't it? Not everyone in Asia and Africa makes the West the boogeyman. They don't make the West the boogeyman. It's specific countries in Asia and Africa. I would also argue specific countries in Europe even. I would even argue specific political factions in USA itself. Because the West is not a thing that exists. The West is not a thing that exists. It's not a term that exists, so it's easy to use it in your propaganda. You know what I mean? Because the West isn't real. The West, there's no coherent idea on what is the West. So what usually happens is you have Russia and China both using the West as a way to impose their stereotypes and their propaganda on everyone who opposes the regime. Like a good example here, the shit about the homeless epidemic in the West, right? And there's none. When you look at the statistics on the countries which most people would consider the West, we're doing fine. We're absolutely doing fine. There's no homeless epidemic in the West. But what usually happens is they're going to see one country, another example we had in chat, they're going to see one country, say USA, having mass shootings for decades. But they see USA having mass shootings now, so what they're going to do is they'll say the West is having a rise in violence. And it's a way to take a phenomenon specific to USA and to apply it to every single country opponent of the regime, right? So every single anti-Russian state is painted as the West having some sort of violence situation, and we're not. We're not. It simply isn't realistic. It's just an easy grouping to be used. And now anyone who does that, feel free to speak to some of our chat members, my dude. Because I've literally quoted specific things that happened in the chat. So, yeah. Pro-Russians in the West. The West is shit, but I'm not gonna go to Russia. Meanwhile, Ukrainians, my country is shit, but I might not go to Europe. See, there's a difference between being an actual patriot and eating shit. Russia is literally the West. Yeah, because people don't know, because there's no definition. So yeah, sometimes it will be the West and then sometimes it will not be the West. It really depends on how a country aligns itself, really. There's no line here. Like, take Hungary, for example. The fuck is Hungary? Is it the West? Is it not the West? It is in European Union. It is in NATO. So technically, it should be in the West. But is it in the West? Do we count it in the West? Do we count Turkey in the West? What do we count in the West? Nothing really, because the West is a useless thing. Yeah, Serbia too. It's a useless term in the first place. So a good thing to I think kind of acknowledge is like with our who's our dear chatter that was really into populism. Really into populism. The short name, Cause. Like with Cause. people like that who fall for populism are people who will fall for the idea of actual serious geopolitical analysis being made with the West in mind, right? It's not a serious term. If you want to be talking about specific policies, if you want to be talking about specific effects on certain policies on certain countries, like you want to be talking about how, I don't know, European Union policies and regulations are affecting countries of European Union, that's a very specific claim, right? I want to look into European Union and I want to look into exactly what regulations European Union has enforced, and I exactly want to look how this has affected specific European Union states. That's one thing. But to say the West is doing stuff that is affecting the West in this way, it's useless attempt to do any sort of analysis. And, you know, as you've seen with the statistics on the homeless people, it always gets proven to be a case of misinformation. Now, reporting on crime is one thing. Claiming that we have a homeless, was it epidemic, the word that you used, is completely another one. It's not like what you're doing. You know what you're doing? What you're doing is the thing people do when they open up the newspapers and they see a report on, I don't know, some sort of a natural disaster happening globally, and they go, oh damn, so many natural disasters these days, completely ignoring the fact that the same disaster has happened previously. They just didn't care about it. They didn't open the newspapers on that day. That's what you're doing right now. You're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get you the compiling of reports on crime. You can do that for every single country. You want me to go and compile the reports of crime in what you would consider the East, if East had any sort of meaning? Russia just had a judge fly out of the window yesterday, day before yesterday. You want me to be compiling shit like that and then being like, oh yeah, there's a falling out of the window epidemic in Russia? In the East, not even in Russia, in the East itself, right? It would be a meaningless claim. You need to have statistics. You gotta have statistics on the crime rate rising since the start of the Russian invasion on Ukraine if you want to have any sort of correlation between what is statistically true and the timeline. You don't have that. Both sides do not throw their judges out of the windows. The fuck are you saying? Who's the last USA judge that flew out of the window? Who's the last French judge that got thrown out of the window? Who's the last German judge that got thrown out of the window? What are you talking about? I meant representatives. Oh no, I understand. I just I'm not saying you sounded racist. I'm just saying that I think it's important to acknowledge that there's difference in different African countries and different Asian countries too. Because I think that putting it into the box of USA and Europe versus Africa and Asia further reinforces the West worldview that makes no sense, right? There is now the West. We can talk about countries who are in foreign policy aligned with USA, for example. We can talk about countries who are in foreign policy allied with Russia or allied with China. That's one thing. But when you draw the line between continents, there's always going to be outliers. Right? So, for example, you got North Korea, you got South Korea. You got Japan. Japan has been a consistent supporter of Ukraine from the start of this invasion. Japan has been really, really, really consistent, right? So putting it in, like, Asia box, as if they are making the West the enemy, when they are currently on the issue of Russian invasion of Ukraine aligned with the same West, it creates this sort of generalization, which people very often use to say that, like, the West, which is comprising of USA and Europe, are countries that are inherently, let's say, colonizers. It's a very USA, basically, way of drawing the lines around the world based on the skin tone. And it simply isn't true. India is buying Russian oil, true. India is allied with Russia at the point.
No, плюс еще, ни еды, ничего не было.
They eat grass and snakes. They drank water from Dnieper. The commanders told them, be strong. Hold on, we remember you. Great. Hey, Stormek! Starmac, how are you doing? Hey yo, haven't seen you in a while. How's life going? How is everything, my man? Holy shit. I hope you're enjoying existing.
Они говорили, что эвака не будет. Нет. А почему они вам не привезли там
India is sending arms to Israel, actively funding the Russian-Ukrainian war, and they're actively allowed Russian assassination within India. No one talks about that. They also, another thing that they did, which is very rarely talked about, and this is what Russians also did in was Nigeria specifically, is that they got the students to come into Russia to go to university, and then the students come into Russia and are sent to the front lines. You remember, it was this year, specifically this year, when a few of students from India was sent to the front lines in Russia, and it was a big conversation for like 5 minutes. And then everyone just started ignoring it. Like, we're talking about young people who were lied to. They didn't know what was going on. They didn't know they were going to be sent to a fucking war. They thought they were coming for career and job opportunities. They go to Russia, they are sent to die in the front line. And India is like, yeah, all right, it happens. It happens, you know. Man, horrible. You haven't been presenting hard facts. The issue of statistics not agreeing with your so-called hard facts was already pointed out, so... Yeah, it was just like, oh yeah, I feel that there's a homeless epidemic. In Moscow region, an unknown person stabbed to death Russian propagandist. In Moscow? In Moscow? I'm saying gang shit. It wasn't ideological. Underestimate the number of these students in Ukraine? Well, like students forced to fight on the front line? I wouldn't really say we got evidence of shit like that happening on the Ukrainian side. I wouldn't say that really. At least they reported about Indian-Russian cooperations. I know that they had... Fuck, wait, I wanted to show you, by the way, our Western propagandists before I show you the rest of my videos. But... I know they had big drama in the situation when it comes to the relationship between India and Russia at the time when Russia couldn't supply India with weapons. I know that was a thing. Russia couldn't supply India with weapons because India basically bought a bunch of weapons from Russia, and Russia was supposed to deliver them, and it didn't deliver them because they were sent to the front line instead. So at the time I remember there being a lot of analysis over their relationship and how their relationship is going to be progressing, but apparently they've chosen exactly how it's going to be progressing. They had people trafficking people, and the government just does mom for the sake of some Timpot oligarch. Oh yeah, no, the same was absolutely happening here. So yeah, I definitely understand it. It's messed up though that a country doesn't fight against that. Because I can't imagine, like, can you imagine a situation where, let's say, a USA student, imagine a USA student going to Ukraine for a university opportunity, right? Imagine that. Imagine he goes missing. And then imagine that a month after he goes missing, he makes a video from the front line saying that he has been forced to fight. I feel we would see Americans going ballistic over it. And for a good reason. I'm not saying it as a bad thing, right? But I'm feeling they would be going ballistic over it. And now what you're seeing about students being forced to fight on the side of Russia is just countries going, yeah. You know, it happens. We're going to call out Russia. We're going to say, Russia, not do this again. And that's that. We hope they don't do this again. Life is hitting hard? Really? Oh no. I hope everything's going alright. I hope everything's going somewhat alright. Hope your job is treating you well. I hope your job is treating you well, and I hope your country is treating you well, and I hope Italy goes through a time of absolute prosperity. I hope you all become millionaires. And then give some millions to us. But I hope you all become millionaires or some shit. Greetings. But these are the two fuckwads that I wanted to show you. You've probably seen them already. You've probably seen this one specifically. This one has a vatnik soup on him. Not sure if this one has it. But this one has a vatnik soup on him, and it's really, really good. He was previously also complicit in Russian torture of prisoners of war. He was trying to interview them, like interviewing people right after they were tortured. That's what he was doing. So yeah, pieces of shit, both of them, and yeah. Looks noise? Improvised munition? What? Mounted on top or bottom of an FPV with a remotely activated fuse to attack UAVs or clusters of infantry with burst metal fragments. Whoa! Huh. Did I test it out? Hey, thank you for the sub. Thank you. Did it work? Did I test it? Be great if you could make it reusable. You will have to release the munition first to survive. Too many moving parts, not worth it. APVs are cheap. Just fragmentation? Yeah, but like if it works against UAVs. And if they're able to use it on a larger scale, I feel it could create some sort of change, really. Yeah, UAV versus UAV, basically. Drone versus drone. Drone versus a drone. Victory is whoever burns down the Moscow first, I guess. I saw this. On the anniversary of Novakhovka Dam being blown up, by the way. Fun fact, or not really. But on the fucking anniversary. You remember that last year, by the way. You remember that? When the dam was blown up. And the day after, UN makes a post about the Russian language. Because I remember that shit. I fucking remember that shit. I'll never forget that shit. Like, you're watching videos of everything being fucking destroyed, mass evacuations ongoing, and the UN goes, "Hey guys, happy Russian Language Day!" Fair. All right. Trump gonna reveal USSR in Iran track on Kennedy death in Iran on 9/11 with Al-Qaeda proxy to mobilize US citizens. To get votes, to get more votes. I think Trump. Man, the way I see it, I think Trump has a set voting base. I don't really think he needs to mobilize anymore, really. I think what they are focused on right now is getting the voters away from Biden. But I don't really think they can get more votes for Trump. I don't think that's what they're trying to do in the first place. We watched a video on European election results in Netherlands. Seems to be they're happy about it. I'm not that much, because the video is specifically about the right wing not being as successful as we thought it was going to be. No far right surge they go, but it still got 7 seats, maybe. We don't know for 100%, right? But maybe it got 7 seats, so I'm still worried about that. But yeah, better results than expected. So it's something, it's something, it's something. He voted so hard. Yay, congrats. As far as I've seen, according to exit polls, Renew got 3 seats. Yeah. And then a potential, like more. Of how many? 3. 3 plus 3, but maybe 3 plus 3, because with one group it is questionable whether or not they're going to... With one party it's questionable whether they're going to remain part of the group because they cooperated with Wilders previously. But yeah, overall, better than expected, but I'm still worried about it getting more numbers. Did you see videos of recruiters in Ukraine taking people from the middle of malls and streets? Oh yeah, they've been used in Russian propaganda since, 2022 really. Since 2022, there has been this idea that that's how Ukraine does mobilization. It just like goes onto the streets and gets people off. In some cases, sure, in some cases you did have people trying to avoid conscription, who did, you know, get forced into it. Basically, that's what happens to a country during the war. But in a lot of cases, these have been older videos that have specifically been pushed by Russia into the online space to create disinformation around this. So, yeah. My dude, a lot of Croats didn't want to be holding a gun back in 1990s, yet when you're fighting against a genocidal invasion onto your own state, your country has the right to call for the conscription. Alright? You're fighting against people attempting to genocide you. I don't know what to tell you. I understand that you have never been a part of the country that has been in a war. I understand that your family has never been affected by war to any point, but that's pretty much what we have conscription for, yes. That's pretty much what we have it. I understand that a lot of people don't want to be participating. I also understand that there's certain shit you just have to do even if you don't want to do it, so yeah. There's no chance you lived through war with this shit eating you're doing in chat. There's no chance you lived through a war, my dude. The only way you lived through a war is in A, the war was very far away and you lived through it by watching it on the news, or B, your side was the aggressor. There's no fucking chance you have any connection to people who actually were the invaded ones, the victims of an aggression. No chance. Veteran of the Great Reddit Wars, that. No, it's either an American saying I lived through a war and then he lived through a war because he was watching Americans flying off to fight and he was sitting his ass at home, or he's like a Serb or some shit. And then, yeah, I lived through a war where my people went to invade other countries. 2 possibilities, that's that. No other possibility. No chance your nation fought for its right to exist. And you're here in my chat eating shit this way. No chance. Oh, yeah. Anthony, we just saw a post about him. This one. RIP. RIP, I guess. He wrote denunciations against Russian celebrities who, in his opinion, were not patriotic enough. Oh, so I guess one of them took him out. Understandable. I did assume it was not going to be on an ideological basis, you know, so yeah. Geert Wilders is back, very concerning he's getting any sort of power. Completely support the idea of Jackson Hinkle getting on a Russian Navy ship in the Black Sea. This little piece of shit, by the way. This little piece of shit. Come on. Just come on. Can you imagine? During an active invasion onto an USA ally state, this man goes into the greatest geopolitical enemy of USA. He takes little videos driving around their military vehicles. He takes little selfies. And that's that. That's that, really. USA is doing nothing. USA is doing absolutely nothing. Incredible. Just incredible. I don't even know what to say. Amazing. He's just around. I love Aurora. Why? I don't know too much about chips. Yeah. I don't know too much about chips. Da-da-da-da-da-da-dum. The only ship I would be mad if Ukraine sank. Well, look. What do I tell you? What do I tell you? I hope you will have a good reason to be mad very soon. I hope. Can't salute near Russian flag if your head isn't covered by the Russian statute. What? Really? Well, look. He's trying his best, alright? But this ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. I very much doubt he was trying to even look something like that up. This man, like, this is a 24-year-old. This is a kid. This is a kid. No one likes him back home, so he goes to Russia because, you know, people there are parading him around like a little monkey, and he likes that for the time being. He's not the smartest person existing. Yeah, like you gotta have something on. Yeah. I genuinely don't think he's smart enough to know that. I don't think he's smart enough to be able to look that up, genuinely. Oh, fuck it, think it, yeah. Good boy, good boy. If you can't get people to fight without forcing them, your country is a failure. My dude, no country has the population, the majority of the population, that would be willing to go and fight in a war. No country has that. What you have is what we had in Croatia, what Ukrainians had in Ukraine. What you had is volunteers, mostly being extremely nationalistic ones, willing to go and fight. You have these people willing to put their lives on the line. And you have most other people just kind of hoping that conscription doesn't ever reach them, because no one really wants to partake in a war. No one wants to partake in a fucking war, right? This isn't something that people enjoy to be doing. So what you usually have is you have people who volunteer, and then you have a bunch of people who are called in by conscription officers, and they go in because they understand the importance. And then you have some outliers who don't want to be conscripted at all. Like, this is a completely normal thing. That's a completely fucking normal thing. It's not even about the payments, because a lot of people would not go to a war even if paid properly. Like, most people would not volunteer to go to a war, right? What you usually have is the majority of a nation having to fight for itself, understanding the importance of this. But come on, like, the entirety of the country willing to go and volunteer to go and fight, that's some bullshit. That's some, you've been playing too much Call of Duty or some shit, and you think you know how wars work. They don't work like that. Nobody wants to, but many are ready. Yeah, like that. I think that's a good way to say it. Like, they wouldn't volunteer. Most people would never volunteer. People who volunteer are outliers. And people who, in the case of being conscripted, are going to try and avoid it are also outliers. Most people are aware. When it comes to a nation being attacked, a nation being invaded, they are aware, hey, if I don't do shit, if I betray my country, everyone is going to be killed. Like, have you seen what Russians do in fucking occupied areas? People are aware this is what's going to happen to every single person that happens to be on areas under Russian occupation. Because they've been doing it to every single fucking civilian. So, of course, most people understand the gravity of the issue, and in case of being conscripted, are going to go. And of course, you have some outliers who even in that situation will refuse. This is just a completely realistic thing. I genuinely don't know what you are expecting. It's like you're one of those people who play those military games. What are those? That bullshit. Where you like do little planning and stuff, And that's like your only way of knowing the war, and that's that. Like nothing else. Hoi 4, yeah, basically like that. Basically like that. It's that, isn't it? You have to force people to fight for you with conscription. Bro, it's real life. Most people don't want to partake in wars. Most people genuinely don't want to be partaking in wars. Come on. Legit dumbasses in chat. We had 3 different ones so far. We had one person against immigration saying that everyone against open borders is called a Nazi, and then saying that before they talk seriously about the issue of immigration, they want Hollywood celebrities and the royal family and the Clintons to take in refugees in their own personal residences. Then we had a dude saying that the West is crumbling because the West has a homeless epidemic, and then we showed stats that the West does not have a homeless epidemic, and then he was like, oh yeah, statistics are propaganda. Now we're dealing with this shit. We had one in the middle, and I'm not sure which one it was, but we had one in the middle. I'm forgetting one. Hinkle used to stream on Twitch. Incredible. Incredible. Japan refused to invade America in World War II, the general said. If I invade America, there will be a rifle behind every blade of grass, and he wasn't wrong. That's true. That's to be completely fair with you. I think that even without the Second Amendment, because of the geographical reality, I don't think USA is at danger of being invaded at all, ever. Like, who the fuck is going to transfer their entire military over to try and invade you people? That would be impossible. I feel USA would absolutely win. Dylan plays Hoifor? Really? Really? Either Nazis or Catboys. Fair. Proper. Really, though? No idea he's gaming. I wasn't following the man for a while. I went back to Twitter just a few days ago, and now I'm seeing his posts again. And he's posting about the energy blackouts and not being able to stream because of that. So that's basically the only thing I know is going on. What's he bullshitting about entering Berlin?
И немцы получили ту войну, которую просили. Но Сталин их простил. И это была ошибка, как теперь выясняется. Выясняется, что самый неблагодарный из всех – это политический класс Германии.
Effective tool used by societies. It is smart to use it to succeed militarily. It is only dumb from the perspective of individualism. I can see that. I can see that. I can see that. More guns than people, but also excellent natural defenses. Yeah. It's like USA. I'm pretty sure USA is rather safe. I'm pretty sure USA is very, very safe.
И немцы получили ту войну, которую просили. Но Сталин их простил. И это была ошибка, как теперь выясняется.
Oh shit. I clicked down instead of clicking here. I clicked down. Poking at the bubble. What bubble did you poke at, my dude? What bubble did you poke at? You literally just asked a couple of dumb questions. That was that. USA is safe because Ukraine is not. Actually, USA is safe because of the geographical reality that they are in. You know, the whole fucking ocean separating them. USA is safe because of that. When it comes to Ukraine, I would say that Europe is safe because Ukraine is not. Specifically, Eastern Europe is safe because Ukraine is not. And then Western Europe is safe because, you know, there's Ukraine and there is Eastern Europe on the way to reach them. USA is like steps above that issue. USA is far, far away from that. Okay, I do agree that Ukraine managing to win this war is going to impact the safety of USA. But like, in order for USA to not be safe anymore, the war would need to be spanning basically the world at this point. The government is not responsible for an unprovoked aggression, and as such it can only organize a defense. That's true. That's true, that's true. Rednecks in Ohio have a lot of guns. I mean, I do wonder if like there was an attempt to invade USA. Where would you start from? Calculating in the reality of having to cross over a large body of water, no matter who goes and invade them. How would you manage to equalize that cost with also trying to reach the state with the least amount of guns behind grass? Baltics? I think Baltics, because they are in NATO, I think Baltics are safer than some other countries. I think Baltics are safer than Moldova and than Georgia, specifically, when it comes to the European side of Russia. So, yeah, I don't think Baltics are going to be in danger anytime soon. Personally, I'm also thinking Bosnia, and I'm thinking Kosovo. I'm thinking Bosnia, Kosovo, Moldova, and Georgia as the first possible places that Russian aggression might be touching in Europe specifically. But also I'm guessing that Hungary is going to sell itself if Russia manages to win in Ukraine. I think it's going to be just like an immediate decision by Hungary to sell everything to Russians. Oh yeah, I saw the news about Polish border guard. Yeah. I saw the news. He died from the attack. I did see people condemning Belarus for it. But yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping something happens, really. I'm hoping something happens about it. Banning all... I still disagree with banning migrants. But I do think that this, as the operation by Belarus, should have been stopped way before, and it wasn't. This should have been stopped years ago, and it was never stopped. Like, we knew what Belarus is doing. Lukashenko himself bragged about this bullshit. We know Belarus and Russia are both trying to destabilize our states. The fact that we allowed it to reach this point is our failure. The fact we allowed it to reach the point of a man trying to detonate a bomb in fucking France to show support for Russia, that's our failure. That is our failure, and I do hope we do something after this. Oh no, I definitely think that Baltics are not fully safe. I'm not trying to say cock. Cool name. I'm not trying to say that Baltics are like perfectly safe. I am trying to say that I don't think Russia is gonna go for NATO. Not soon. I think before they go for NATO, they're going to take, like, Moldova is a very easy choice. Moldova is a very easy choice. If you've been following the situation in Georgia, also a very easy choice. I think it's Moldova and Georgia. I think the first NATO casualty, actually, at this point, I think the first NATO casualty and the first NATO country to crumble is going to be Hungary. I genuinely think it's going to be Hungary. I think Hungary is going to allow them in. And I think then we will have whole discussions about the alliance allowing enemy soldiers in itself. And that is going to be weakening the alliance itself, because it will show that we are not cohesive anymore, that we are basically falling apart. So I don't think Baltics are safe, but I do think, because Finland is a part of NATO right now, I do think Baltics currently don't have to fear an invasion. Serbia is going to crumble the way Hungary crumbles, which is going to be crumbling by choice, not an invasion onto them. If Trump wins and decouples from NATO? Oh yeah, That's true. That's true. That's true. That definitely, absolutely. Do you think they will literally control all of Ukraine, or just stop with control along parts of the east and the coasts down south? Personally, I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters. I think whatever happens, if they are rewarded for their aggression, they will continue the aggression. Like we rewarded them with areas of Georgia that they have been occupying for decades now, and, you know, obviously did not stop them from doing aggressions in the future. So I think any sort of a reward is going to be detrimental to us in the future. But when I say Russia winning in Ukraine, I do think them either attempting to control the whole country with occupation, or attempting to control the majority of the government in Ukraine in order to turn it to Russia. And I don't really think it matters which one it is, really. Finland and Sweden being in NATO does improve the safety of Baltics. Yeah. Like, I don't think Baltics are fully safe, but I don't think they have something to worry about for now, because NATO is still stable. So for now, I think it's countries that are not in NATO that have to be fearful, and specifically people in countries that are in NATO, but that are willing to sell themselves to Russia. Do you think Russia is that powerful that they would take on a NATO minus USA? You know what I think is the problem? It's not about NATO minus USA, and it's not about European NATO being weak either. It's about NATO not being cohesive once it starts to crumble. The problem is not that, like, USA leaves, so now we have lost weapon suppliers from the USA. Do we have enough of them in Europe? That's not the problem at all. No. The problem is a NATO member leaves. A NATO member leaves, and two other NATO members are ambiguous on whose side they are in. You're seeing the alliance crumbling. And then what happens is Estonia gets attacked, and NATO members read Article 5, and it says they have to help as much as they think that they should be helping. And they go, well, how much are we really willing to give at this point? How much are we willing to give? What do we want to do? How much do we even want to go into this situation? And then you see Hungary spreading pro-Russian propaganda, because you know for a fact Hungarians are going to be on the Russian side, regardless of whether they leave NATO to do their bidding or if they stay in NATO to crumble it from the inside. And what you see then is the same situation you're watching right now in Ukraine, with politicians for years going, damn, but like, did Ukrainians want to separate? Did Ukrainians want to separate? Did they really want to do it? I'm not even sure that there is an invasion going on, you know. Estonia has had a large Russian population for a very long time. These are just Russians in Estonia maybe trying to liberate themselves. Why would NATO react to a NATO country having its own internal issues? This isn't about, I don't even think it's about EU armies. I think it's about the fact that we are not ready to fight against this. We're not ready to fight against this at all. We are not prepared. We have shown that we are very easy when it comes to misinformation spreading in our spaces. We're very easy in losing the war on information. It's not going to be like a fucking Russian invasion on a NATO member that starts this. It's going to be something like they were sending Girkin over to Donbass to try and, stage the uprising of collaborationists, which were actually just Russian soldiers that they sent in previously. That's what they're going to do. And when they do that, are we going to be prepared to respond? Or are we going to say, guys, Putin is saying these are just Russians defending themselves. So I'm not sure that we should send the EU army either. I'm not sure we should send the European Union army. You see, Claire Daly is saying here that the Russian military buildup on the border of Estonia is clearly just defensive. So, really, should we do anything? And that's how we lose. That's how we lose. That's how the war gets to fucking, let's say, Austria. I'm feeling Austria. Once it gets to Austria, that's when you will see the Westerners shitting their pants. And that's when you will see actual world war starting, because that's when they will do something. But when it comes to all the countries in between, it's going to be very easy to manipulate other NATO members to not react, especially if NATO as an alliance starts to crumbling. And I would argue we already saw NATO crumbling the second we saw Russian missiles entering NATO airspace, and NATO didn't do shit. At the time, they were supposed to react. They were supposed to react, and they were supposed to send air defenses. They were supposed to place air defenses on every single fucking inch of the border, and we didn't do that. We just went, yeah, well, sometimes NATO airspace is going to be used by Russia to launch missiles into Ukraine. Sometimes it just happens. You know, sometimes that's what you gotta do. Do you think Croatian population is willing to go full-scale war just to take back Narva? Yeah, see, that's the problem, though. I don't think any NATO country by itself is willing to go to a full-scale war to liberate another NATO country. But I think every single NATO country benefits from being a part of the alliance. So I do think we should be pushed into this. As a part of the alliance, there must be certain requirements that you must fulfill if another member of the alliance is attacked. That's the entire point of the deterrent, right? And I think we shouldn't be asked. We have a professional military. If an attack happens on another NATO member, yeah, we should be sending a specified amount of soldiers. I genuinely think this should be like specific. I don't know, take the percentage of the military that they have or whatever the fuck. But there should be an amount of soldiers, troops, equipment that we should be having to send as a member of the NATO alliance. Because I feel that the position on this in Eastern Europe is a bit different than position on this in the West. Because when it comes to countries on the front line, I'm not in a country on the front line, you know? But when it comes to countries that are on the front line, I think it's easy for them to understand why NATO matters so much and why this deterrent matters. But when it comes to countries not directly on the front line, I think it's easy for them to just go, oh yeah, well, if we lose one of our members, is it really that big of a problem? Is it really that fucking problematic if we lose one? You know? Is it that bad? Maybe we just get them back soon in the future. Maybe these really were just Russians in Narva trying to separate from the rest. Maybe it really was the thing. Yeah, vague hybrid actions to cloud what's going on. By the time NATO gets their act together, the Russians will have taken a large chunk of Estonia and Dogen. I fully agree with that. And I don't really think this is going to change with European Union army either. I think it's going to remain the same. So yeah. But there's no provocation when it comes to observing the actions of states. There's no provocation. There's no, oh, she was walking around in a short little skirt and he just couldn't control himself. That's not what happens. That's the whole issue of provocation is bullshit. All right, that's not what happens in actual serious analysis of political decision made by states. That's just bullshit. Russia's happy with the situation in Europe for now. I do agree. Open conflict would unite EU. I don't think it's going to be an open conflict. I think that's what we are blind to, and I think that's what a lot of our leaders are blind to. It's not going to be an open conflict. You're not going to see a Russian military entering Estonia. You will never see them enter. You will see pro-Russians burning down government buildings and staging riots in the street to try to turn the country towards Russia. And that's what you will see in all of them. That's what you will see in every single one of them. Like how many of our countries are currently having a problem in the rise of far right directly connected to Russia? You already are a victim of a hybrid attack on your state and on your democracy. You already are a fucking victim. You just don't see it as a war because there's no soldiers on the ground. And by the time the soldiers actually do get on the ground, it's very likely going to be too late. This is the same tactic that Russia has used in attacking Georgia and Ukraine both. This is the same tactic Serbia has used during Yugoslav wars. They used the same shit during Yugoslav wars. They didn't invade us outright to start the war. No, they were like, oh, well, these are not actually Serbs attacking. This is JNA. They still use the excuse of it being JNA. Did you know that? You still have the far right in Serbia saying Serbia never did an act of aggression, ever, against other Yugoslav republics. It was actually just JNA. It was the Yugoslavs in these countries trying to fight the nationalists in these countries. That's exactly what you're going to be seeing in Europe. That's exactly what you are already seeing in Europe. You already are seeing the start of it. This invasion won't be a cartoonish little one with a tank driving through your fucking city. No, no, no. Your own people are going to sell their own country and allow Russians to get in. Oh yeah, burn down of a shopping mall in Warsaw. I saw people claiming that this is connected directly to Russia, but I don't know if the investigation was done on that. But yeah, it's shit like that. It's shit like that. There's not the tank. There's not a fucking tank. There's just acts of terror. Terror. Wait, where were we on this? Proper. All right, though. Let's go. Russian agents. Yeah, Russian agents. What did I want to click on? It would be people like Jobs to be the first ones to open the front to a hybrid war. You know how, I'll never forget, we recently caught a Croatian war criminal in Great Britain. He was hiding in Great Britain from Yugoslav wars, right? And we caught him. He was brought into the state for a trial. As far as I know, it's still ongoing, but I'm not entirely sure on that. But what I wanted you to know is that in 1990s, his family were upstanding members of the community. They were the richest family in that specific village. Everyone knew about them. Everyone knew they had a huge big house with a huge big basement, which is usually where the rest of the village was keeping their wine and shit, and then where the prisoners of war were being tortured during the fucking war. But before the war, these people had a great position, and you know what happened then? The war started, and Yugoslavs at the time just marched into the city. This was after we had already been in a proper war, right? Yugoslavs march into the city, the military is marching into the city, and this family just gives them everything. They just gave them everything. No one saw it fucking coming. This was a Croat family. Everyone thought they were on our side. And it turns out they were so into the propaganda that was being shared at the time. They gave up everything they had immediately to the soldiers and started working with them on organizing a brothel. It was a brothel of where they would be holding women from occupied territories. Like, man, the situation overall, horrible. Just overall horrible. But it's people like that. Yeah, it's people like that. It's people like that we saw here. It's people like that you will see in your countries. It's not going to be fucking militants. It's going to be people who you thought were normal. Hey, yeah, Tony, how's life? It's going to be people you thought were normal who are just willing to sell their arse anyways. What are you guys even fighting of? It launched 4 invasions. All NATO did was allow independent nations to apply to join. Russia does not get to rule other nations' defense policies. True. Talking about that though, I also saw a really interesting a really, really, really interesting overview. Fuck, I'll need to find it specifically. But it was a really interesting thread on how people participate in Russian imperialism without even being aware that they participate in Russian imperialism. And the specific example is people saying that, like, oh yeah, Russia was provoked by Ukraine choosing a different foreign policy. Because the second you say Russia was provoked by Ukraine being a sovereign nation and choosing its own path that doesn't necessarily have to align with the path of Russia, you are participating in Russian imperialism. It is direct participation in the idea that countries around Russia are part of what you would call a Russian empire, and they can't be making decisions independent of Russia. They must always be making decisions that Russia allows. It is directly imperialism. So yeah, what NATO basically was just a way for countries to fight against this. Kak je tebi? Meni je super. Moram na posao uskoro, zapravo nije. Bilo je. Where are you from? Croatia? I'm from Croatia. I realize it's built on lies. My dear, do you have no idea about anything you've been talking about so far? You didn't realize shit. You just started following Fox News or something like that. They haven't felt the war on themselves for a long time, since the Second World War, but they're used to it being carried to someone else. They could die there, but that's just the way it is. Even the mom of a dead Russian soldier. Mama of a dead Russian fought in common comfort and safety. Ukrainians, Chechens, Georgians, Afghans received war at home. Oh yeah, I see that. Like it's a different. It's like with Serbia, how we mentioned Serbia previously, even though Serbia did get bombed by NATO fucking based. But it's like with Serbia, how easy it was to wage a war when your own country wasn't invaded. It's the idea that you get to bomb others, but you are never the one experiencing the bombing. So everything that you give in to this war are stuff that you send outside, but you yourself, your core is not being attacked. Time to change that. Oh. They got used to the fact war is not hell, wars in which there is not mass murder organized on the level of one or more states, not horror, which must be avoided to the last until there is simply no other way out, but greatness, opportunities, and the solution of all issues. They stopped being afraid of war. This word has become very easy for them. I see that. Good recollection. I see that. All Indians like Russia. I very much am against discrimination against entire groups of people in my chat. So no, I wouldn't agree that every single Indian is stupid. I do agree that you have some people in the country willing to work together with Russians. But no, I very much do find that to be rather
1,337 redeemed
as an
changed
opinion.
the flag.
Like
I
Pakistan,
love
of course
Pakistan.
you do.
Best country in Asia. Pakistan 100x
Oh,
better
of
than
course you
India.
do. Decentralized and organized to the point of hitting smaller streamers, because we have to explain such users at this point. Yeah, it's a dumb thing, because like I do want to be banning it, but then I'm like, bro, I'm just gonna be banning like dozens of people on a regular basis. But it is a thing that you have conversations about daily at this point. It is something that you just constantly have to go through. It's like every once in a while what we get in chat is a person who's going to be asking the simplest questions, pretending not to know the answer, right? You guys remember that one? We had that one in chat. Oh my man, it was so weird. He just came in and he was like, oh yeah, well, isn't it true that actually Ukrainians had a referendum for Crimea to separate itself from Ukraine. So then we go through that referendum and he goes, oh yeah, well, isn't it true that there was a fire in Odessa in which a lot of Russians were burned alive? And just the whole chat, he just kept on doing that. He just kept on going more and more and more into, but wait, but I've heard this. One of them specifically, who remembers the one? He said that there have been peace negotiations. There have been peace negotiations in 2022 to end the war between Ukraine and Russia. And check this out. He heard that the man leading these peace negotiations was killed by Ukrainians. And that's how the peace negotiations stopped. And he goes, well, have you commented on this already? Have you told people about this already? And I was like, what? Which man? Who are you talking about? Which man? Who's the man's name? Like, what? He had no idea. He had no idea. He just like chunked it in the chat to see if anyone else is going to be following along, I guess. And that was that. Oh yeah, the man leading negotiations got shot. Interesting. I'm just saying, it's an interesting thing. Ukraine claims to be liberating itself, and they killed the man trying to negotiate. No, I don't know the man's name. Like, what the fuck? Where were we on this? America, I guess. It should. Mate, what you were talking about, you're being called pro-Russian because you're lying about the West crumbling. You're not being called pro-Russian because you're trying to fight for the rights of the homeless people. You're being called pro-Russian because you lied about the West having a homeless epidemic. Like, you're not reading it properly. No one's calling you pro-Russian for saying, hey guys, we should enact better policies so we could give more chances to homeless people in our countries. No one is saying that. People are saying you lied about the homeless epidemic, you lied about the rise of violence. We're talking about your claim that the West is crumbling because USA is having school shootings. The West, the entirety of the West is crumbling because the country of USA has school shootings that they have had for fucking decades. But the West is crumbling now because, my dear friends in Russia told me so. Literally no one is calling you pro-Russian for saying, hey, we should treat the homeless people better. In past history, when only Russia supported and helped India, when US, UK and Pakistan were against. Oh yeah, you are aware of the recent developments where Russia was tricking Indian students into coming into Russia and then was sending them to die on the front line, right? You are aware of that. You have seen the news about that, correct? American stats on homeless people, we actually looked into this. They're all right. Per capita, they have less homeless people than Germany does. Like, they're all right. Of course, the situation is not perfect and it can always be improved, but the idea that the West is crumbling because of that, the situation is not nearly that dramatic. It's genuinely just something that, like, someone following Russian news would be trying to spew around. It's not that dramatic. Like, considering the fact that America is fucking huge as a country, the fact that there and Germany's amount of homeless people nearly overlaps, come on. Like, come on. How would Germany's homelessness compare to non-Western countries like Russia? No chance in the universe Russia would be giving out stats on this. No chance in the universe that they are giving the facts. It's like that idea that there were no homeless in the USSR. It's that shit. We don't have any homeless. We don't have any homeless. We just like kick them out from the streets so no one sees them. Majority of Russians don't support invasion in Ukraine. So if you're pro-Russian, you have to be against Putin, as am I. I'm like half agreeing on that. I'm agreeing that the pro-Russian position is to be against Putin, but when we're talking about actually pro-Russian position, not pro-Russian as in pro-Kremlin, but pro-Russian as in the future of Russia as a state. Yes, it would be a position against Putin. At the same time, I ain't really agreeing most Russians are against Putin. I'm not agreeing most of them are against Putin. I'm not agreeing most of them are against this invasion. I think most of them are against the failures of this invasion. They receive food, shelter, drugs, healthcare. They don't have to care about anything. Bills, job, education. Just vibing on the streets. I'm pretty sure it's not that easy. I'm pretty sure it's not that easy. But, kinda. If you think of that, kinda. Hey, yo, Polly, how's life going? How is life? How is life? I'm doing great personally. Having to go to work soon, so I'm enjoying and trying to trying to get my daily level of intake of political opinions today. Also voting in Croatia this Sunday, so wish me luck. Depends on who you call as homeless. That's also true. That's also true. It's like comparing crime rates between different countries, right? You can't compare crime rates between different countries if you do not first become aware of the differences in how each country defines crime in the first place. Oh, here's, by the way, here was our list of the sovereign states by homeless population. There was our list. As you can see very clearly, the West is crumbling. The West is crumbling in front of our eyes. Falling apart fully at the seams. But yeah, you have Germany is quite. Where's Germany? Check out Germany. Check out USA. Come on. Yeah, like we're not doing well at all. Working afternoons, yeah. At least though, we're having a little party today. We're having a little party. There's a competition. You remember when I told you about like fish soup in Croatia? Fish soup. There's like specific fish soup and it has to be nice and red and everything. There's a competition in cooking it today nearby. So I'm going for that and I'm going to party there. So I'm kind of actually like GG. I'm kind of GG with working because I know that I'm going to go party after it. So I'm surviving. I am surviving. Do you think escalating parties in the Ukraine conflict should prioritize the rule of law or avoiding risk of a wider conflict? I think if you want to avoid the risk of a wider conflict, you need to evaporate every single Russian soldier in Ukraine. That is the one and only way to be pro-peace and to be avoiding the risk of a wider conflict. Russia must be defeated. Anything else is basically the take that would place you on the side of history that signed the Munich betrayal with Nazis. So, yeah, you want to avoid the risk, you want peace, you want the war to stop, you're donating to Ukrainian military. That's that. One and only path. In the same way, supporting opposition in Russia, and I'm not talking false. I'm not saying evaporate all the Russians in Ukraine. I'm saying specifically evaporate Russian soldiers. I was very specific. Yes, I think there is definitely a possibility to destroy Russian military in Ukraine. Absolutely. I fully believe that there is a possibility to do that, and I believe we could do that if we had the political will. But what I wanted to say, I saw people recently sharing news about a Russian streamer Russian live streamer currently going on a trial because she was talking on her live stream about Russian war crimes committed in Ukraine. So she was talking about Russians raping civilians, she was talking about the torture rooms, she was talking about the mass graves. She is currently undergoing trial. And basically, what like I need you to fucking share around is the fact that the only way to support this woman is to support Ukrainian military. There's nothing else you can do, all right? There's nothing else. You give little reshares to that thing. Did reshares help Navalny? No, they didn't. Did viral tweets help Navalny? No, they didn't. Did stupid little performances in the West, putting his picture around on buildings, help Navalny? No, they didn't. Nothing helped Navalny because we were not willing to see the Russian regime defeated. Nothing is going to help any actual member of the Russian opposition. And I'm not talking about their shit-eating libs. I'm talking about actual Russians raising up. Not a single one of them is being helped by these stupid performances. The only way to help them is to give more money to Ukrainian military, and that's that. There doesn't have to be boots on the ground. There doesn't have to be boots on the ground. Ukraine is not asking for us to send troops to Ukraine. Ukraine is asking us to give them equipment, and we can afford to give them equipment. We just have to have political will, which we do not have. Poland and France are getting ready to go. If Ukraine falters, they will not. We can hope. We can hope. We can hope. I'm not too positive on that, but we can be hoping. 607,000 from Deutsche Welle News. Damn. Oh, damn. Don't care about Russian streamers. I know most of us don't. I personally, I'm on the verge of like, all right, some of these people are doing good actions. Some of these people actually are talking about Russian war crimes. So we're not talking about opposing Putin, because opposing Putin is useless. We're talking about them actually pointing out Russian war crimes on the ground, pointing out Bucha, pointing out Izium, pointing out the rape of civilians on occupied territories, right? I think pointing out something like that is useful. I think it's a good thing. But again, I think the only way for you to actually acknowledge it as a good thing in a way that matters is to help Ukrainian military to defeat Russians. There's nothing else you can be doing. Genuinely nothing else. Because I've already seen the Navalny Foundation trying to get money by sharing around the news of that. Any single person giving a single cent to the Navalny Foundation is a clown at this point. Like, that's stupidity. At this point, it's stupidity. It was stupidity previously already, but at least it was like, all right, they might not know any better. At this point, you have to know better, for fuck's sake. Navalny Foundation is worthless. If you had the entire group wiped out, you wouldn't know the fucking difference. They're absolutely useless. They're a drain of money and nothing else. I want NATO boots in Ukraine. Same, but I am aware that NATO is going to be a bit slower in making that decision. How do you address the concern of possible use of nuclears? There will not be a use of a nuclear bomb. Russia knows that a threat of a nuclear bomb is more useful than a nuclear itself, not to comment on the fact that we don't even know if they've been upkeeping them properly. Plus, we do know that the second they prepare to actually launch a nuke, USA is going to know about it, and USA is going to fucking evaporate them. There is no chance they're going to be using a nuke. They know that the threat of a nuke is useful, though, because it gets little clowns in the West shitting their pants. So they threaten a nuke. So they threatened a nuke when people were talking about sending any sort of aid to Ukraine, and they threatened a nuke when we were sending like fucking helmets and we were sending winter gear over. They threaten a nuke for every single step that the West makes, and still the West makes these steps, and still the nuke is not being used, because the nuke will not be fucking used in this war. There is not going to be the use of a nuke. No one wants to go and invade Russia. No one wants to go and get into Russia to fight it inside of their territory. They're not going to use a fucking nuke. Complete confidence in the military capability of the West. I do have confidence in the military capability of the West, yes. I do not have confidence in the political will of the West. But yeah, when it comes to their military capability, I do have full trust in it, and I do believe that if we had proper political will, we could wipe out Russians now. We're choosing not to do so, which is the heartbreaking thing in this current situation, because we allow them to be butchering Georgians, we allow them to be butchering Crimeans, we allow them to be butchering people in the Donbass region. We knew about all of this. We allowed for it all to happen, and we're allowing them to fully invade Ukraine now, despite the fact we could stop it. We're just choosing not to. He wants to annex Western Russia to the EU. To be fair, I don't want to touch Russia. He wants to invade. My thing is, I don't want to touch Russia. I don't want us to cross an inch over the border, right? I don't want to touch the damn thing. Unironically, what I would support is getting Trump over, building the fucking wall on the border with Russia and Belarus, and they can stay where they are. They want to be pieces of shit, they can be pieces of shit. I don't care. I don't want to touch their country, I don't want to touch their territory. I don't want us to have any sort of a hand to play in the Balkanization of Russia. They can do whatever they want. They want to balkanize, they can balkanize. They want to stay as one federation, they can stay as one federation. We should not be touching them. What we need to do is fence them off, and they can be trash under their own terms. But they should never be allowed to invade another one of our allies again. No, I don't think Russian people are inherently less valuable. The fuck are you saying? Where in the world did you get that from? What if we exported democracy and petitioned? You know what's the problem with petition? Apart from the actual imposing our will onto the citizens of another sovereign state, you know what's a big problem with petition? It's that if Balkanization happens in a way it happened in Balkans, which is each republic wanting to separate, that's one thing. A big problem comes when Balkanization is enforced from the outside. Because you will never see the Russian imperialist project dying down if it sees itself as losing solely because of the Western influence and not because the Russians actually moved away from this. Think of Serbia. Think of Serbia, right? Serbs didn't want to stop the fucking war. Serbs wanted to overthrow Milosevic because he wasn't successful, but they didn't care too much about stopping the war and stopping the attempted genocide of the people around Serbia. And you see that right now because they have been choosing Vučić consistently, the right hand of Milosevic. Consistently choosing this man, spreading around his genocidal rhetoric and the threats of Serb military entering Kosovo again, right? And it's because Serbs have this delusion that they still can build an empire. The delusion of Yugoslavia existing is gone because the republics themselves have chosen to separate from the idea of Yugoslavia. But you did not see Serbs moving away from the idea of Serb imperialism. And when it comes to Russia, which is a federation in its own, what you will need to see is republics moving away from the idea of a Russian empire. Because if we force them away, they're just going to try and do it again. We shouldn't be touching them. If they want to be fixing them themselves, they should be fixing themselves on their own terms. What would be the response of India and China to a total defeat of Russia and Ukraine? I don't really think it would matter, to be honest. Not to Indians, not to the Chinese. I don't think it would matter at all. So, yeah. Nothing really. Nothing. There was a possibility for a while discussed that China might want to take parts of Russia back, but I'm not really seeing that. Personally, not really seeing that. I think to China it's more valuable to have Russia as a little, oily trash can. It can get some useful shit out of every once in a while, rather than to try and invade parts of it and completely turn it against itself. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to be any sort of strong response. Strategic asset in competition with the US? My dude, if Russia loses in Ukraine, that changes nothing. That changes nothing. No one wants to invade Russia. If the position was, oh yeah, we go to invade Russia and to balkanize it, then it would be different. Then I would see China being concerned. But no one wants to fucking go and invade Russia. Alright? It's going to stay an ally to China. No one wants to go and force Russia to change their political path and their foreign policy. Nobody using nukes? Because if they use, the world is ending. But in military, I'm sure India, China and Africa support Russia. Africa is very split. So it depends on which African country you're talking about. And also it depends on which African country you talk about in which time. Because depending on which one it is, they do tend to be changing their allegiances. When it comes to India and China, they have been softly supporting Russia. Sometimes a bit more, but still it's a soft way of supporting it. In a way that, no, I don't think that if Russia loses, they will go to war with USA. No one wants to, again, no one wants to go and invade Russia. No one's trying to go and invade Russia. No one's trying to balkanize it from the inside. There's no reason why China would need to be concerned about the Russian military defeat. I didn't say people choose where they are born, though. That is not a part of the conversation, really. Military defeat will destabilize Xi's body government in the Kremlin. It will destabilize Putin. It will not destabilize Russian foreign policy overall. It's not like Russia is going to choose a pro-Western leader if Putin is destabilized and thrown out. What are you saying? They're not going to choose someone to side with the USA, my dude. They're just going to choose the same trash. It's going to be the same exact thing. Like, what, you think they're gonna cut ties with China if Putin is removed? What are you saying? There's not even a possibility of that happening. No, China is just going to stay allied with Russia. That's not changing if Russia is militarily defeated in Ukraine. That doesn't change. DB is at work. DB is at work. DB is working, but Stormek was around. Stormek was around. You missed him. Stormek was here. They can't, their elections are rigged. Every candidate who actually has a chance of beating Putin gets banned. My man, South, listen to me. Who was the last candidate who had the chance of beating Putin? Go and look it up for me. Who is the last candidate at the Russian elections who had the chance of beating Putin? The one that was banned somehow. Go and look it up. Because what you will find is that all of them are in line with Russian foreign policy. All of them are in line. Like the one, what's his dumbass name? It's kind of longish. I forgot about him already. He did an interview recently where he was saying that Russian invasion on Georgia was justified. He did a whole interview just a few days ago where he said that the Russian invasion on Georgia was justified. But what I'm trying to tell you is that even if the candidates who are able to replace Putin because they get enough political support, even if they don't get banned somehow, they're the same shit. Alright? It's the same shit. It's Putin, a bit different, but it's the same shit. Whenever they hold speeches, it's always, yeah, we should get to keep the areas of Ukraine we occupied. Yeah, Crimea is actually Russian territory. Yeah, we should be fighting against the Western influence on Russia and we should instead be turning to the West. You understand what I'm telling you? China doesn't risk losing an ally if Putin is dethroned. Russia is going to choose the same leader. It's going to be the same shit. The minor differences in their politics are not going to be as big to cut ties with China. China doesn't risk shit by Russia losing the war in Ukraine. Sunday, možemo. Sunday is možemo. Personally, možemo fully because možemo is the part of the Renew group in the European Union Parliament. And the Renew group is the group that is supporting the best policies right now. But if you want to be making decisions for yourself, which is something that I will always be supporting, here's what I would support you to do. You go here. No, možemo is Renew. Isn't it Renew? Who was Renew? No, možemo is in Greens and we have no one in Renew. True. Still, Greens better than S&D, which is SDP. Let me give you this. You can look into the history of voting of each group in the parliament, and then you can figure out which Croatian parties are in which group, and then you figure out which group you want to be supporting, basically. But yeah, true, možemo is in Greens. Greens have had good voting consistently. Personally, I'm rather tolerant of the Christians too, even though... but not tolerant of DP. So DP is DP is part of the ID group in European Parliament. ID group personally votes against every single one of my values consistently. It has been just their voting record is horrible. Personally, horrible. If SDP gets a 4th seat, then that one will go to Renew. If it gets 3 seats, all 3 will go to DND. Yeah. I'm scared of that. I'm scared of risking that. Because also with the preferential voting, I know Borzan is getting into the parliament. I hope, actually, that's bullshit. I hope Borzan is getting into the parliament. Because she's been really, really consistently good. But I am a bit interested in other SDP candidates. True, when Allah created the world, Allah did give whole world to Pakistan, indeed. Still pro-EU, not too bad. Yeah, mostly just like the leftists weird me out. I'm scared of them. But also you do have the right-wingers being on the same shit, so it's like... I feel the Greens and the Renew are a safe bet, and then everyone else I would rather avoid, to be honest. I would rather avoid... I don't trust any single one of these fuckers, my dude. I don't trust... Okay, wait. Proper, though. Proper. Most real leftists are in the left group, which is all Marxist and shit. Proper, that's true. Yeah. Establishing the facility. Political groups. Yeah, now that you say it. Proper. But like, see id here eating shit. I hate them so much. Trio actually going for S&D might be even. Alright, you go SDP or you go možemo. You go SDP or you go možemo. We fixed that. 2 options. My mother's going SDP actually. My mother's going SDP because she loves Borzan, and I was like, yeah. Alright. So I know she's going SDP. I know that means a big part of my family on that chunk is also going SDP. Personally, I was thinking of going for možemo because možemo has no links to Russia, while SDP does have some. So I'm kind of liking them a bit more on a getting power on a domestic level. But also, I think the Greens are alright, to be completely honest. Where were we on this? Hating results type A. Based. Oh, you're having conversations about the homeless still. Alright. HDZ will get majority. Yeah, HDZ always gets the majority in Slavonia. HDZ always... To be fair though, to be completely 100% fair with you, I would be happy if HDZ gets the majority in Slavonia instead of DP. I would be happy. Like, it's an acceptable decision. It's an acceptable voting pattern. I would support it. I hope they get more votes than those fucktards on the far right get. Because genuinely, DP, I see them as very damaging to Croatia overall. I don't think that their rise in popularity is in any way good. EPP will do the age-old trick of enabling far-right. Big possibility. Yeah, big possibility. I understand that. It's like in Slavonia, because of our past, what you basically have is you got either like people supporting the Christians who will support the far right, or you got people supporting the far right, really. And those are the two most popular options currently in Slavonia. There's a couple of people trying to fight against it, me being one of them, me being one of them. But it's really, really hard to get people away from the idea that right-wingers are the only ones practicing a healthy dose of nationalism. It's really, really hard. There's this idea that like the right, especially HDZ, because HDZ was the first Croatian party, the right is therefore completely on the side of Croatia as a nation, while the left has been created to kind of like go against it, let's say it like that. The left has been created to go against it and to try to make us more European and less Croatian. And it's really, 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 really fucking hard to educate people out of this. Genuinely hard. They're already far right. Oh yeah, I remember seeing their votes on abortion. Oh, resolution on Iran's unprecedented attack against Israel. Need for de-escalation and an European Union response. EPP, S&D, Renew, Greens. Conservatives, ID, non-attached members. And the left. Oh man. I don't think Europe, and especially newer members, are ready to feel European yet. Yeah, it feels like people often say that Croats fought against Yugoslavia because we didn't want to abandon our national identity in Yugoslavia. So like Croats fought against Yugoslavia, but now they are accepting European Union, right? And it's usually like a gotcha in these type of situations, like ha ha ha, yeah, you fought for national liberation, and look at you now, being in European Union, like you lost your currency, you have to use euros now. Oh damn, you're losing yourself, aren't you? And a lot of people, especially from areas of Croatia like Slavonia is, which has been ravaged by a war, they do fall for this conspiracy. They do fall for this idea that European Union is intended to erase identities of the states within it. It's of course not realistic, and it doesn't have any basis in realism either. It's just, it works. As propaganda, it genuinely works. So HDZ, luckily, is a right-wing group that is not using such rhetoric, but DP is definitely balls deep into some serious shit, including that. So, yeah, HDZ genuinely would be better than DP. Hammer on the positive effects of European Union on your own country. Yeah, a lot of people are doing that. It's hard, my dude. It's hard. It's a process. It's really, really, really hard. Especially because what you mostly have is people who are supporting far right are people who are also very fucking racist. It's people who are very racist. It's people who are very nationalistic. It's people who believe in global homo trying to take power over us. So when you comment on positive effects of European Union on your own country, economy specifically, for example, right? You go, hey, we're having a lot new factories opening. We're having a lot new factories opening, and we've had a great boost in our infrastructure overall because of the European Union funds we've been getting. And what they do is they go, oh yeah, well, who's building these factories? It's the workers from Nepal. They're trying to do the great population replacement. You think that European Union is helping, but they're actually trying to replace your population. And it's like that with every issue where you can talk about European Union actually educating people. They're always going to turn it to European Union being anti-Croat. The worst has been since 2008 in most of the EU. That, what? Wait, what are you talking about? That joining EU has made countries go into inflation? The fuck are you talking about? How are you connecting joining the European Union to a global fucking inflation ongoing? You didn't say that? Yeah, you did. You responded specifically to the claim that European Union is helping its member states. And you were like, no, European Union is not helping member states. And they were like, what's your example of that? And you went, oh, there's an inflation. Your literal claim was that European Union has not benefited its members because there's an inflation happening globally. That is literally your claim. Literally what you said. That makes no fucking sense. No, European Union is not helping member states because there's a global inflation happening. Yeah, it's like I'm gonna make the claim and then I'll just retract it. And it makes no sense. No, your claim was specifically. You want me to read the messages, my dude? You want me to read the messages? All right. The best thing pro-Europeans can do is hammer on the positive effects, was said in chat. You responded with, yeah, if that was the case. The response was, name a country that has not benefited from the European Union. And you responded with saying with the current inflation, it's probably the worst it's been since 2008. Are you not reading your own words? Are you not reading your own words? Yes. You're claiming European Union did not help a member state because there's a global inflation ongoing. Are you unable to read? Which country? Pick a country. Pick a country and we'll see how European Union responded to the inflation going on there. UK is a good case study for departing EU. Oh, that too. That too. This is the first... My man, I saw them recently crying about this on Twitter. This is the first European Union Parliament election that they are not partaking in. Yeah. Compare Croatian economy to Albanian and Serbian. I had a source previously and I don't know where it is. Did you guys have that shit? Holy crap. Did we share it in chat? It was one with showing you European Union grants to each country. Like showing you how much it helped each country. So you can see specifically like where the European Union money went and what it was helping with. Even when you look at Croatia, check this out. Shut up. Accepting. European Commission and Croatia have signed a deal in 2022, partnership agreement, that will allow Croatia to use 9 billion euros in grants until 2027. In 5 years, we got 9 billion euros to use in grants from European Union funds. To say that this shit is not benefiting a country is ridiculous. Cohesion policy funds to promote economic, social, and territorial cohesion of its regions and its green and digital transition. Man! 9 billion. Just holy shit. Hammering in the positive effects on the economy is kind of impossible when there's very high inflation and borderline recession. That's no. You're not understanding what a positive effect on the economy is. All right. There's what would be positive effect of European Union on your country's economy is if the economy was doing this badly, and then country got into European Union and got benefits. That's a positive effect. All right. When there's a global inflation going on, the positive effect of European Union on economies of our countries is that European Union is again giving us grants so we can cope with it better. That's a positive effect. It doesn't mean that while the world globally is going through an inflation, every single one of our countries is in prosperity, in doing incredibly well. No, it means that we are doing better than we would be doing if we were not in the European Union. Like, you're not understanding what you're saying in the first place. You favor big government, he favors small government. It's still a fact that European Union grants are helping us. So it's still a fact that they are helping us. You know, you can't deny that. It doesn't matter which sort of a government you favor. To claim that European Union is not helping member states is pure delusion. Got more than 70k euros so far. What? Nice! Congratulations! Congratulations. I do know a couple of small businesses in the area. Mostly, I know a man who opened up a shop as a mechanic, and I know a woman who opened up a shop as a, she's doing like haircutting and shit in villages. So like she goes house to house to old people mostly, and then she helps them, you know, keep themselves nice and tidy, because a lot of old people will not go to the city to get their hair cut, so they do it themselves, so they don't do it at all, right? So she started a business where she goes around to help them with that. And both of them got a lot of money from European Union funds, and both of them are doing well. So yeah, I'm really happy that it's working for you too. I'm really happy to hear that. It's one specifically, for example, no, you didn't need me to explain it 5 times to you. I've been talking about the same thing from the start. You just started with one idea, and then people pointed out to you that your words are stupid. So then you tried to explain how it is not, but like all of this time, from the start, from your first comment, people are pointing out to you that you are wrong. Right? From the start of this, people are being like, yeah, we understand what you want to say. You're just wrong. You're not understanding. You're wrong. You didn't need to explain shit. It was understandable from the first message what you meant and how you misunderstood the entire conversation. What did I want to show you? I wanted to show you one specific site, but it's not for our countries. Here it is. It's for the eastern neighbors of European Union. I don't know if you follow this. You know how cool this shit is. So basically, it's about countries' neighbors of European Union getting grants from EU. So you can click on a specific one of them, like you go to Georgia, for example, and then you see what Georgia is doing together with European Union, how they're trying to improve the lives of the people in it. It's really cool. I think it's a really cool source, genuinely. So the whole thing with like, oh yeah, education helping, and then funding, you know, stuff for democratization of society, and very often you have them building schools and shit like that. You have them building places for people in worse economic situation and the homeless people to be helped. You have them promoting the cultures of these countries. There's a lot of things, and it's really cool. It's really cool. Georgian school children are involved in dolphin monitoring in the Black Sea. That's kind of cool too. That's cool too. Italian lira before euro got inflation at 25%. Damn. To function better, European Union needs further integration of fiscal union. If you have to consider every Eurozone country, then decisions become far more complicated. If countries' economies are out of sync, I do see that. You didn't say anything nuanced. Like, we are literally responding to the same thing you said from the start. You didn't say anything nuanced, and you didn't say anything complex to any sort of an extent. Ooh, higher tariffs set on Russian and Belarusian grain products? Hey, yeah, Lucky, what do you mean, which side? Which side of the river? Which side of the Danube River? We're having a fellow Balkan person in chat. I'm actually from the right side. I'm from the right-hand side and from the right side too. Aims to levy prohibited tariffs on grain products imported from Russia and Belarus. Regulation increases duties on cereals, oilseeds, and derived products from Russia and Belarus to a point that will in practice halt imports of these products. Nice. Nice. These measures will prevent the destabilization of the EU's grain market, halt Russian exports of illegally appropriated grain produced in territories of Ukraine, and prevent Russia from using revenues from export to the EU to fund its war. Okay, proper. The case that... Bro, they said that European Union is helping countries. You said, oh yeah, if that were the case. That was literally the comment. It's, oh yeah, if that was the case. There's like nothing to misunderstand here. Is that one? They were like, European Union is helping countries in it economically, and you were like, yeah, if that was the case. And it is the case. It is helping countries in it economically. The America bad? Yeah, the West bad, West crumbling, West falling apart because USA has school shooting. Entirety of the West, just done. Out. Must be Hassan, you were that too. That too. What do you mean zero reading comprehension? Are you unable to fucking understand your own words? European Union helps countries. Oh, if only it actually helped countries. Show me it doesn't help countries. And then nothing. It just does. Like, what are you doing? Hey, Slippers, what do you think about that case? Slippers, I want to hear your opinion. Slippers. Slipperino. What do they want from me? What do they want? Why are they throwing Polish at me? What do you think? What do you think is going to change at the border after this has happened? What do you think? Hey, Polly, thank you for the sub. Thank you. What do you think? Is something... live ammunition. Oh, holy... America? US of A? United States of Poland? Live man. Oh, I did not expect... I mean, actually, I don't know what I expected, really. I don't know how I thought you would respond. I had no idea on what would be the smart way to respond. I did not think he was going to be using live ammunition. Man. Oh, damn. Well, let me see if that has something. Oh, they got a knife, but they don't really know who did it. Ooh, mind the border too. Since they started throwing javelins through the border and wounding Polish soldiers. Oh. Wait, you have some... What's this? Soldiers who fired warning shots at a group of migrants who tried to force their way into Poland have been detained but not arrested. Oh, when was this? Oh, recent. They were attacking the medics, giving aid to the soldiers. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Yeah, I don't know what to do about that situation. I don't know what to do about that situation. That's why I was interested in your response. Because on one hand, I'm always for giving the chance of an asylum to people trying to enter our countries. But on another hand, Belarus is using these people to put pressure on Poland. So then I'm like, how do you balance between the two? I don't know. I don't know how you balance between the two. The Iron Wall? Oh, on the border of... I mean, like, that would, Belarus and Russia can be fenced off. I would agree with that. America is so much toxic and hypocrisy, and Britishers are lobbers. They rooted India and Africa and are now acting liberals, and Pakistan is doing terrorism and terrorists and hate other religion. The fuck are you, my dude? The fuck are you? What is that? What is that? What's their illiteracy level? I have an idea what that literacy level is. Like, I just want to hear it. I just want to hear you say it. America is so much toxic, and Britishers are robbers. They looted India and Africa and now acting liberals. What the fuck is that? Asylum is for legal entry points only, not jumping over fences. Okay, I can agree with that. I can agree with that. Euro will crumble now that we don't have the cheap Russian oil. That too. I'm not late for work yet. I have 7 minutes still to be on the stream. By the way, hey, next week streams. Monday is gonna be morning, and then Wednesday and Friday afternoon. All right, I'm gonna update the thing counting the streams, but just so you know, morning and then 2 afternoons. So 1 coffee, 2 beers. 1 coffee, 2 beers. All right, that's what we're doing next week. It's past 10, we can have beer. I have to drive to work. I can't. Doesn't provide any sort of ramification that would guarantee human rights for people who are being used as a human ammo, and the right to Poland to reinforce its borders. Yeah, that's what's fucked. I genuinely, I don't know. Look. Burn them to the fucking ground. Nice. Happy to see this. Very happy to see this. I'm not telling because I hate them. Bro, hating your own nation is a specific type of cuckery, to be completely honest. Specific type of cuckery. Like, can you imagine what these types of messages online get people to do? It's like Americans hoping for America itself to be crumbling apart. Absolutely idiotic takes, unironically. Imagine that. Imagine. Geneva Convention doesn't even take under consideration a hybrid warfare like that. Oh man. Can I VIP users from this? Oh shit, this is like block. Yeah, I have some chat shit. I can be trying to add custom badges. Did you know that? I got some Twitch chat thing, and I can add custom badges. Are they gonna be shouted in chat? That would be so cool. I could just like add country badges so I can keep track of where the fuck you people are from, because I so many times I mess it up because like you have the same color username with someone else. Like Slippers was pink in my chat for a while. So everyone pink in chat in my head is Polish. And I know you're not, but I'm still like, ha, pink, Polish. I really need to fix that. Yeah. I really need to fix that. I should just make country flags. So I just know. Man, I'm gonna be trying to do that today when I come from work. I'm gonna be trying to do that. We defeated your military. We have these weapons right at your border. In this case, Russian security assurance would be due to trust me. I will not shoot you when you have a gun against their head. Oh, stop at the Russian border thing. We defeated your military and we have these weapons right at your border. In this case, Russian security assurance would be due to trust me. I will not shoot you when you have a gun against their head. I don't care. No, that's basically it. I don't really care. I don't really give a shit. We don't want to invade Russia. We don't have any sort of imperialist project that are going to cause us to invade Russia. If they want to feel like little pussies and be scared of our actual defensive weapon formations on the border with them, they can do that. They're going to use them for propaganda anyways. Like, we're talking about Russia. No, they're not going to use a nuke. No one's going to invade Russia. They're not going to use a nuke. Like, this is completely not realistic. You're not looking at the situation properly. They will not use a fucking nuke. All right? No one wants to go and attack Russia. No, it doesn't seem like that way from their point of view, because Russians don't believe that we actually pose a threat to Russia. Russians don't believe Russia will get invaded. It's shit that they are saying to get people in the West to dance for them. They don't believe they will actually get invaded. Like, that's not what's going on. You're not understanding the Russian way of communicating about this at all. They don't believe we're going to invade them. They don't actually feel they are being a threat of being invaded by our countries. None of our countries are sending fucking militaries into Russia. No one is trying to go and crumble Russia. They know this. They fucking know this, all right? Now, when we're talking about like a few Russian villages believing Solovyev, that's a different thing, all right? That's a different thing. Absolutely, they got imbeciles in their ranks and they might believe what Solovyev is telling them. Absolutely. I'm not saying that is not true, all right? What I'm saying is that if you believe the entirety of the Russian leadership, right? Oligarchs who have built fucking mansions, if you believe they would be willing to give all of that up to fire a nuke into countries that don't even threaten them, you are ridiculous. Azov guys don't want to go into Russia. Azov battalion does not want to go into Russia. That's what I've been telling you this whole fucking time. No one wants to go into Russia. Azov is a battalion specifically organized to defend Ukraine against the Russian invasion. They don't want to go into Russia. No one wants to go into Russia. Russia is not threatened. They will not use a nuke. Because using a nuke absolutely means that Russia is getting attacked. This is what even China said. Even China itself said that if Russia uses a nuke, they will not be allies anymore. No one wants to see a nuke being used. Russia is aware that if it uses a nuke, that's when shit hits the fan. It will not use a nuke, and it will specifically not use a nuke for some stupid-ass fucking reason, like neighbors of Russia having their military on the borders. They are not actually fearing that Ukraine is gonna go into Russia to invade it. Like, it's not going to happen. They don't actually think if Ukraine gets into NATO that NATO is going to attack Russia. Literally no one thinks that. It's not their calculus. They're not going to do it. They are not going to do it. It simply isn't happening. Nuke nukes has been used once to not be used anymore. It's basically the principle is the real red line. Yeah, no, definitely. It's not going to happen. Americans themselves have said that if Russia uses even what they call a tactical nuke, and there's no fucking tactical nuke, but even what they call a tactical nuke, if they use a small one in Ukraine, USA has absolutely made it certain that they are going to destroy every single part of Russian military in Ukraine. They know this is going to happen. They know that using a nuke would just brand them as enemies of every single normal country forever. And I'm not even talking about USA. I'm talking about China. I'm talking about India. I'm talking about every single fucking country. No one wants nuclear war. The second a country actually prepares to fucking fire a nuke on someone else, that's that. Russia is getting destroyed. They cannot fight the USA military, and they know this. Wouldn't the American elite be willing to give everything they have at the risk of nuclear war with Russians? Would the American elite be willing to give everything they have at the risk of nuclear war with Russians? Wait, what are you saying? Let's turn it around. You're saying I'm claiming Russian elite is having to give everything they have at the risk of nuclear war with Americans, which doesn't exist. There's no risk of nuclear war. We're not going to invade Russia. No one wants to be invading Russia. There's no risk in the first place. Nothing is going on here. Russian military was defeated. No, they will not send a tactical nuke if they are defeated. They will not send a tactical nuke. The idea of sending a nuke was to use one, as you say, on a small village, if Ukrainian defense is too strong. Russia will not use a nuke if they're getting defeated. They'll just pull back into Russia because Russia is safe. The idea was a threat, and even then they were never going to use it. They're not going to use a nuke. You're falling for the nuclear threats of a country that's never going to use a fucking nuke. It just knows that it's easy to say, hey guys, we got nukes, and then you little monkeys dance for them. They know exactly what they're doing. They're not gonna use a fucking nuke. It's not happening. No one's using a nuke just out of spite. Yeah, true. The threat was if Ukrainians get support enough, and if we can't get specific cities that we want, then we will use a nuke. And even then, they wouldn't use it. They wouldn't fucking use it because they are aware that if they use a nuke, they're losing everything. Right? No one's using a fucking nuke. It's not happening. Russian official nuclear use cases do not include battlefield defeats. That's based. Yeah, Putin has been talking about nukes from the day one because he knows it's easy to get the idiots to be commenting on the situation from their little uneducated viewpoints. They're not using a nuke. There is no perceived threat. No one wants to invade Russia. You're not understanding what a threat means. No one wants to invade Russia. The perceived threat would be Ukrainian military armed with NATO weapons crossing the border and trying to take over Belgorod. All right? That might actually be a perceived threat to which Russia might respond to. No one wants to do that shit. No one wants to go over the borders. They do see it as such. That's the thing. They do see it as such. You're falling for bullshit propaganda. They know no one's going to invade. Russians know no one's going to invade. They use this pretend fear as an excuse to go and attempt to genocide nations. They know no one wants to invade them. Everyone knows, my dude. This genuinely isn't even a threat to Russia at all. What if they hit Kaufland? Shit, what do we do then? Do we respond? There'll be an agreement that Russia will still keep existing. Yeah, no one's gonna touch Russia. No one's gonna touch Russia in the first place. By the way, I need to leave. You could invade plenty of Russia as long as you don't threaten Putin's power. That too. Well, I genuinely believe... No, you're not making a legit argument. You're saying bullshit. No one wants to invade Russia. No one wants to invade Russia, and the Russian leadership is aware no one wants to invade them. They don't see it as a threat. They will not see it as a threat, and they do not see it as a threat right now. Like, how many Russian defensive formations do you see on the border with Finland? Where's the defensive formations? Where's the air defenses? Where's the soldiers on the border with Finland? Where's the tanks? Where's the tanks waiting for Finland to go and invade them? It's bullshit. No, I think Russians are aware that there is no threat posed to their country. Only people going over the borders with weapons are Russian people trying to fight back against Putin. That's true. Proper. Which is, their own internal thing, and we shouldn't partake in it. But yeah. Also, genuine, I have to leave. I'm gonna be late for my work. I have to leave. See you on Monday. Monday stream in the morning. So Monday we're drinking coffee in the morning. And then Wednesday and Friday we're drinking beer in the evening. All right. Yeah, gonna eat some fish. Thank you. So yeah, we'll be seeing you. No, they can use the strike thing. I added the strike thing specifically if people make repeat arguments, because I feel bad about timing people out, so I've allowed the VIPs to be the ones doing it instead. Vote at the European elections this weekend. Try to get into Renew or try to get into the Greens. All right. Good luck. Check who parties you like are voting for, and you will figure out it's fucking Renew. All right. Listen, I already know. I already fucking know. You don't even need to think about it. All right. Just do the thing. You know how old people here, they can't read, so they get someone else to do the reading for them, to tell them which number to circle. I'm doing the reading for you. Vote Renew. Figure out which party is Renew. Vote Renew. Good luck. Whoever will nuke Azov. Or that, I guess. Any right-wing parties that support Ukraine? EPP is alright on it. But I would highly recommend voting Renew. I would highly recommend not going soft right. Because I'm scared that soft right is going to go with ID, and ID has apparently gotten lots of seats already from Netherlands. If ID gets too strong, it will be a strong pro-Russian voice in the parliament. So yeah, I would advise not going to the side where the pro-Russians are. Also, don't vote the left. The left is the same shit. So don't touch the left. Specifically, that's how they're called, and don't touch the right-wingers. Centrists are fine. I am running. We'll be seeing you. Stay strong, stay healthy, stay hydrated. Go party.